old-time whiskey in our veins, and the spirit of the free. Riding through the winds of change, it's where we wanna be. We're proud Americans, our hearts beat as one. The time has come to heal and embrace. So let's stay united, let our voices be heard. Proud Americans leading the way. Front porches and pickup trucks, our stories still unfold. From sea to shining sea, we've got so much untold. Mending fences, crossing lines, together we are strong. In the land of milk and honey, where we all belong. We're proud Americans, our hearts beat as one. The time has come to heal and embrace. So let's stay united, let our voices be heard. Proud Americans leading the way.
Well, news broke out, old Joe stepping out, giving up the fight. We saw it coming, clear as day. He couldn't keep up, had to walk away. Biden's last stand couldn't hold the line, leaving us to clean up, picking up the signs. The country's in a mess and he's turning his back. Now it's time for us to take it back. From Scranton streets to the White House gates, he stumbled through, now he's closing the gates. The economy's down and chaos reigns. Now he's throwing in the towel, letting go of the reins. Biden's last stand couldn't hold the line, leaving us to clean up, picking up the signs. The country's in a mess and he's turning his back. Now it's time for us to take it back. From Scranton streets to the White House gates, he stumbled through, now he's closing the gates. The economy's down and chaos reigns. Now he's throwing in the towel, letting go of the reins. Biden's last stand couldn't hold the line, leaving us to clean up, picking up the signs. The country's in a mess and he's turning his back. Now it's time for us to take it back. The media spins, the crowd still cheer, but we see through, it's crystal clear. A legacy of failure, a trail of tears. As he fades away, we'll shift the gears. The liberals cry, they write their songs, but we've been right all along. No more debates, no more lies. Time to fix this, lift our eyes. Biden's last stand couldn't hold the line, leaving us to clean up, picking up the signs. The country's in a mess and he's turning his back. Now it's time for us to take it back. The battle's done, he's walked away. With a smirk and a sigh, we'll carry on. We'll set things right from now till dawn.
You like my patriot music?
When I turn on the news, I see a country that's divided. Don't matter what the channel, it always feels one-sided. They tell us that it's us first, then as our country comes unwound. It's time we come together on our hollow ground. Remember 9/11 when we all stood side by side. Americans, not enemies, a country full of pride. They try to force us into boxes, you're either blue, you're red.
The people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself. but not the citizens of our country. What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people.
The world is a mess. The world is as angry as it gets. All of this has happened.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. You are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them.
As our country comes on wild, it's time we come together on our hallowed ground. Remember 9/11 when we all stood side by side. Americans not enemies, a country full of pride. They try to force us into boxes. You're either blue or red. Instead of digging in, let's find some common ground instead. One thing that I know to be true: patriots come in red and blue.
Member of the Georgia Black Republicans, and his girlfriend Alexandra, a registered Democrat.
So even though you have political differences, it's not a deal breaker.
No, it's not a deal breaker.
Beautiful.
In 2008 and 2012, you voted for
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama,
2016,
I voted for Donald Trump.
Hillary Clinton,
2020,
Donald
My
Trump.
man.
Biden.
and who will you vote for in 2024?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. My views on certain things have changed. I am very much so riding the fence.
What are you struggling with?
Being in a pattern of doing the same thing that I've been doing, when you go in a poll, you hit Democrat. Something has to happen. I mean, it's just so expensive to survive.
Thank you.
And we're planning on having kids. I don't want to live in a stressful environment trying to rub two pennies together to try to make it either.
Common sense.
Just because we don't agree, don't mean that we should hate each other. Whatever happened to love one another? Remember 9/11 when we all stood side by side. Americans not enemies, a country full of pride. They try to force us into boxes. You're either blue, you are red. Instead of digging in, let's find some common ground instead. One thing that I know to be true: patriots come in red and blue.
We're blaming you for flip-flopping on fracking. Is it true, are you? Healthcare. Has your position flip-flopped on that? Or is it the same? They're talking about, you got Americans out there talking about, now you willing to support building a wall after you spoke against it. Is that true? Is it?
Boom! Drop the mic.
Is that true? Is it? These are legitimate questions, is all I'm saying. I'm not castigating her. I'm not casting convictions upon her or anything like that. I'm saying we want to hear from her because we've been waiting to hear from you for 4 years. We want to see where you stand and why.
You're right.
Where you stand and why.
I think maybe it's just like a mistake, right?
Guys, it's crunch time, and
One thing that I know to be true, Patriots come in red and blue. Just because we don't agree, don't mean that we should hate each other. Whatever happened to love one another? Remember 9/11 when we all stood side by side? America's not enemies, a country full of pride. They try to force us into boxes, you're either blue or you're red. Instead of digging in, let's find some common ground instead. One thing that I know to be true, Patriots come in red and blue. Just because we don't agree, don't mean that we should hate each other. Whatever happened to love one another?
It amazes me that it's 2024 and people are still wearing.
Well, guys, about to start the show, and got a lot to talk about today. It's a Monday. We have a country that's the polls are shifting. I'll share with you some that are predicting now, once again, a Trump landslide. We've got a debate that's coming up, and Pelosi predicted today she thinks Donald Trump won't make it. Why would Pelosi say that? Then we've got another thing. Rumble has been banned, as well as now X, in the wonderful country of vote stealing. You guys know the one. So we'll talk about when we get back, as we're getting ready for the 3 o'clock hour. One more of my favorite Patriot songs.
In the heart of these small town roads, where the story's old but true, we used to bow our heads in prayer, we'd pledge allegiance to. Now the lights are flickering, the signs all point to fall, where that spirit go that used to stand so tall. Factory stands are empty, schools don't teach no more. Folks drive by the church like it's something to ignore. We used to hold our ground with hands together tight, but the unity we had has vanished in the night. This country's going to hell, can't you hear the warning bell? What once was one nation, under God has disappeared. We the people soon be no more, if we don't take a stand. It's time to raise that flag and put God back in this land. We got preachers out on Main Street shouting at the skies, but nobody's listening, too busy with the lies. The family dinner's cold now, faith broke at the seams. It's high time to awake and chase those old dreams. Fields are overgrown, tractors left to rust. Where's the honor and the pride, the values that we trust? Cemeteries filled with souls who knew the way it was. We need to reawaken and fix this just because. This country's going to hell, can't you hear the warning bell? What once was one nation, under God has disappeared. We the people soon be no more, if we don't take a stand. It's time to raise that flag and put God back in this land. This country's going to hell, can't you hear the warning bell? What once was one nation, under God has disappeared. We the people soon be no more, if we don't take a stand. It's time to raise that flag and put God back in this land.
between oat milk and
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Macil Duncan Show, broadcast live here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we appreciate all that tuned in. We appreciate the USHeartbeat.com, StreetLevelAmerica.com, DestinyLifeMedia.com, SGM Alabama, our patriots down in Bama land, New Jersey Freedom Network, the Tennessee Conservative Platform, God in Politics Platform, as well as Revolver Media out of Indiana, my good friend Joshua Cummings, and Macil Duncan Radio that has us broadcast on Facebook, X, Rumble, and many other social media sites. Thanks all of you that like and share the show and share it on other platforms. That's greatly appreciated. We've got a new platform in Kentucky that's now airing the show live. And we've got some others that said, hey, can we share your show? We believe in what you're saying. I am just a pastor that believes in God country, and we can be bold and still reclaim this country. If any of you listened to my sermon Sunday I preached, I reminded my people of the Black-Robed Regiment. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Black-Robed Regiment, but it happens to be a pretty much a nickname that King George gave to the revolutionaries. I don't know if you're aware of this, but many pastors took off their black robes, took up arms, and led their congregations to fight against the oppression of Great Britain. And they called it, by King George himself, the Black-Robed Regiment. It's a great study. I've been teaching on it for years, and at least 8 years now. And the thing I would bring up to you is as you remind your pastor, because so many pastors have been misled or they've been misinformed. They think they can't talk politics. My friend, here's the deal. We are to be salt and light to this earth, Jesus said. And to be a salt is a preservative. What preserves this country more than the laws and the lawmakers of the land? We as Christians need to be involved making friends, helping influence, and using what we have to remind the people and the leaders of God's laws. And you and I do not need to be made afraid. See, they're afraid of our unity if you and I as believers. Now, the interesting fact that came out this weekend, I was watching a Tucker Carlson podcast, and one of his guests said, do you know there's over 40 million Christians that don't vote in presidential elections? 40 million Christians. But then you'll turn around and you'll be upset. Inflation. I don't like this stuff taught in our classrooms. It's ungodly. Okay, do something about it then, my friend. You may not like every candidate. Sometimes you have to look and say, okay, which is the best of what my choices are? Which candidate reflects my Judeo-Christian values the best of what I have to pick from? There is no perfect candidate, and I hate to tell you, my friend, you're not perfect either. So if you were on the ballot, there's folks that would look deep into your personal life or your religious life or your hobbies and say, ooh, I don't like that. Be friends. Try to be nice. When you vote for a politician, you're not saying, hey, I want to be besties. You're not saying, I want us to be pen pals. You're saying, I want you to represent my values. Savvy? If you and I would be more open to embracing political people and political discussions, I think you would see more Christians back into the races and back into the opinion making. That's just my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. So it's something for you to consider, my friend, because there's a big, big need. Now, I've got some good news for you. I don't know if you've been made aware. Something wonderful happened, and I know some of you may have heard of it, but if you haven't, here's the good news, and I appreciate Josh Pate, the way he painted this factual situation.
State 51-10 last night.
Ooh, excuse me. What did he say?
Tennessee beat NC State 51-10 last night.
Excuse me, Josh. I want to give you one more chance to repeat that.
Tennessee beat NC State 51-10 last night.
Yes, Tennessee beat NC State 51-10. Now he goes on to say, if I were to tell you that that there was going to be a game and the quarterback Nico was going to throw for only 211 yards with 2 interceptions and one being a return for touchdown, would you think before the game started, if you knew those facts, would you think it would be a blowout? Probably not. See, the thing that I think interesting about Tennessee, and I'm getting somewhere with this, by the way, Tennessee is not built around one superstar. Now, they're paying him close to $8 million in his NIL contracts. I know that's amazing. I'm not a big fan of paying the college players that much money, but that's another discussion. But Nico, the thing that he's done is he's pulled the team together. And, of course, he had 58 to 60 rushing yards on top of that, so he amounted close to 300 in offense himself. But there's a tailback named Sampson. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, 124 yards. But the other big thing was our defense, the other side of the ball. And the defense came up big. They had big stops, and we had a pick six that ran back 85 yards from a walk-on. Now, I say that to say this. If you're going to have a championship team, you've got to have both offense and defense. You can't rely on just a superstar quarterback, especially in the college playoffs, because 2 things happen in the playoffs. One, it gets colder. And as it gets colder, you can't throw the ball as well, okay? The temperature impedes. One, your receiver's hands are cold and brittle. They might put on the gloves. They might put a little stickum on there. But if you'll notice in the pros and college, they don't throw as much towards the end of the year like they do the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, they need to run the ball. Secondly, they've got to have a defense that stops the other side. What I saw from Tennessee was a great defensive strategy and a great running back in Sampson early, only in now our second game. So, a lot of people feel Tennessee. Now, I liked what one of the CBS and one of the Fox broadcasters said today. We have shades of 1998. This could be a team that goes far and could be a big threat to win the national championship. Okay, where are you going with all this? Sometimes you don't know what you got until the game starts. In politics right now, we don't know what we got until things are playing out. Now, I've got some polls to share with you, and I don't know if you've heard this, but the Democrats aren't as loud and proud as they were. I think they're finding out that their hide and glide is not working. It worked with Biden because you had COVID. Everybody was hiding in their homes. So you kind of had a national standard, but people don't want that. And so 59%, by the way, of Americans said they approve of Trump's, what he did at Arlington Cemetery. They don't seem to have a problem with it. And so I thought that was interesting. That's 59% of voters approve of President Trump's Arlington visit to commemorate the Kabul bombing victims after Gold Star family invite. Now, that's big. What's that mean? That means Kamala and them, their campaign that tried to say early on when Trump was there, they didn't show up. They were invited too. They failed to mention that. Biden and Kamala were also invited. They both gave the Heisman and said, nope, not coming. Gonna stick it away from me. So instead of going, they tried to conjure up that Trump had some kind of altercation with someone there in the either in the staff of the cemetery, etc., and went on to say, hey, you shouldn't use the cemetery for campaign ads. And then we've dug up the old ones of Mr. Thumbs Down, McShane, and others that did so. So with that said, that's a big percentage. 69% said, "Hey, we don't have a problem with that." Anything, we thought Trump did the right thing. So that's an El Shakaruber to some people. And the other thing is, Blaze Media is reporting a new national poll signals Trump's ascendance, that Kamala Harris' joy isn't cutting it. So the last national New York Times college poll has Trump leading and Harris figured for a radical. The new nationwide poll indicated this past Sunday that Vice President Kamala Harris has lost her edge and may soon lose a great deal more. The latest New York Times Senate College poll asked nearly 1,700 registered voters between September 3rd and 6th whom they would vote for if the election were held today. 48% said Donald Trump, 47% said Harris. Now you're saying that's just a 1 point. Yeah, but all these lip-lock liberal polls were trying to act like Harris was up 2 and 3 points. If that were true, which I don't believe it was, that means Harris dropped 4 points. 4 points is big in a presidential election, my friend, especially when 40 million Christians don't show up at the voting at presidential elections. That was still an El Shakaru to me when I found that out, and I'm really going to harp on that, and I'm going to ask you guys to please reconsider and get involved in the voting, because there has to be a better turnout of voters. Christians, we have the responsibility, I believe, of setting the pace. Now, Newsmax has Nate Silver's latest projection. He's saying Trump will win all the swing states, and he's going to win in a landslide. You can go to Newsmax and read this, but a shocking new poll projection from pollster Nate Silver has Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump winning every swing state en route to an election landslide over Vice President Kamala Harris. Silver update came after Sunday's New York Times Senate College poll, the one I just referenced. He gave Trump a lead nationally over Harris by 1 point, and the lead 2 points with a third-party candidate now weaving in. They think the Kennedy effect is paying off. This is one of our highest-rated pollsters, so it's also a fair amount of influence of numbers. Now, let me add to that what else has happened this weekend. In case you haven't heard, Alan Dershowitz, a long-time liberal lawyer, a professor, etc., he has, now he's not been unkind. He actually even helped defend Trump in his last impeachment trial because Trump hired him. But he said, "I've never voted nor will vote for Trump until this weekend." Alan Dershowitz, a liberal Democrat, said he's leaving the Democratic Party. He cites anti-Semitism. Alan Dershowitz, Harvard Law professor emeritus, said Sunday on Newsmax that he now regards himself as an independent after the platform at the Democrat National Convention, all but, he felt gave the Jews a Heisman. He felt that people like AOC was giving too much props, and AOC is a known Palestinian backer and anti-Jewish, so he says, and she's in New York. With such a strong Democratic presence in New York, how do they have such hatred for Jews now? Is that why they're a sanctuary city? And is that why now New York has embraced all the Palestinian and the Muslim migration? Are they trying to flip them to stay not just a strong Democratic state, but is New York trying to become a strong anti-Israel city and state? Interesting. Do your research and give it a little thought. Let it sit between the ears for a little bit, and it just might marinate into where you're saying, that makes a little bit of sense. We can talk about it later. Biden has set a new record as we're about to go to a break. I told you. He set a record. Well, guess what JoJo has done? Joe Biden has taken 48 years worth of vacations in just 4 years. Being president, He has now been on vacation, technically more days than on the job. Go to One American News. President Biden has taken 48 years worth of vacations. Now that's an El Shockaroo to many of us because we knew he was taking a lot of vacations, but not that many. That was rather interesting. We're going to go to break. This is the Macil Duncan Show in Chattanooga. I'll be back after these messages.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Hey, I'm from Texas, and I love listening to your show because y'all tell truth on there. You don't water it down, and I know what I listen to is real. And so, yes, just want to say that I'm glad that you're doing the show, and I'm friends with Jolene, and I do love America. I really do. Keep going, gung-ho, guys, with the show. We got your back. Bye.
Hi, I'm Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead, and we've traveled all over the world, from Amsterdam to the Great Pyramids of Egypt. But I can't think of anywhere more full of beauty, life, and music than our own national forests. I love the forest, but you know, all its beauty can be taken away from us through one careless act. A campfire unattended, a cigarette butt thrown out a car window, or a trash fire left alone. You see, one little fire can quickly become one big fire, a forest fire. And before you know it, the trees stop swaying, the flowers stop blooming, and the birds stop singing. So please, be careful in the forest. It belongs to all of us, and remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
A public service of this station, the Forest Service, USDA, your state foresters, the Ad Council,
and the Grateful Dead.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Want to fight childhood asthma? Then fight it with a scrub brush and a hot soapy towel. Even in the neatest and tidiest homes, if there's so much as a crumb to eat or a drop to drink, household pests like bugs and mice will do all that they can to get it. Creepy crawlies like bugs and mice are unpleasant enough as it is, but they're more than just a nuisance for kids with asthma because they can actually trigger an asthma attack. So give them a whole lot of nothing. Sweep up crumbs, wipe down tables, scrub dishes before they pile up in the sink, and store leftovers in plastic bags or bowls. Don't leave them so much as one tidbit or nibble, and you can stop a childhood asthma attack before it starts. Discover other simple ways to prevent an asthma attack. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS or visit noattacks.org, because no child should feel like a fish out of water. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. EPA, the Ad Council, and this station.
Stand on the
tests. He's too nice. He wants to say hello to everyone. This is one of your first big tests. How do you feel like you passed so far tonight?
Played a little sloppy in the beginning. I thought we did a good job on finishing strong in the second half, though.
The coaches talked to us about your poise and composure. Even after your mistakes tonight, you were able to get back out and have good drives. How do you move quickly past those mistakes and get better?
I think that's just something that stuck with me since I was young. My dad instilled that into me to, move on quick. And, yeah, man, we had a little, bad play in the first, I think it was second quarter. But, I had to bounce back. So.
Speaking of quick, you ran for some key first downs, showed your legs, showed your athleticism. How were you able to kind of show your skill set tonight?
Yeah, man, I think I was just taking what the defense was giving me. Like at my first error, I tried to squeeze that instead of just taking off. And, when they drop 8, I had so many answers for me, and I was just trying to force stuff. So I think second half, I settled down pretty well.
It is routinely listed as one of the greatest entrances in all of sports. Running through the T. Born from two of the greatest innovators in school history, the iconic introduction of the Tennessee Volunteers yields an unlikely backstory.
We were dressing in the east side of the stadium before the games, and that's where we were early on, and I decided I would rather be on the west side. Said, well, how are we going to get over there? That the other team comes out, we're going to have to run through the other team. So I asked Dr. Julian, I said, well, maybe the band could come up there and make up something. He said, well, I'll make a T and you run through the T. And so we decided to run through that T, and it worked out, and the other team never bothered the band.
What began as a defensive maneuver quickly vaulted to one of Tennessee's illustrious traditions. The route has since shifted 90 degrees and now welcomes the Vols onto the field from the north end zone. To this day, fans routinely arrive early to catch the Pride's pregame performance, which is capped by this electric entrance and signals one thing.
It's football time in Tennessee.
I know some of you aren't Tennessee fans, but I am enjoying this, because there's a good chance it won't last long, okay? I drink the hopium every year when we get off to a good start, but we'll see what happens. But if you didn't hear at the beginning, there was a interview with the quarterback, Mr. Nico. If you'd like to try to pronounce his last name, we're gathering up recordings. Call 629-282-1776, 629-282-1776. You got 30 seconds, if you would. Tell us your name, where you're from, and how to pronounce the quarterback of Tennessee's last name. We've had several call in, and we're just compiling some of those. We'll do a little montage. But when I was at the food pantry, one of our clients brought me this hat. It's actually a leather hat. It's a 1998 National Championship hat. That's the last time Tennessee won the National Championship. But it was the first year of the BCS era. And let me tell you quickly my thoughts on that. If you remember, that's when they first started using computers to tabulate who should be in the playoffs. And some of you worried about AI, etc. Let me tell you what happened. Tennessee was given the nod by the computers as having the hardest strength of schedule that year in 1998. We also went undefeated. Savvy? And even though we had that game with Arkansas where they fell and gave us the ball, a lot of folks failed to remember the officials missed a key play. When they snapped the ball over the punter's head, he kicked it out of bounds. That's supposed to be a 15-yard penalty and the ball back to us. They missed that. So I'm just giving you my things. But anyway, my national championship hat, 1998, I appreciate that gentleman that gave that to me. He wanted to give something back to us since we've been feeding his family. But I also have a picture of Peyton Manning here signed back when we had season tickets. And that's, at least they tell me it's signed by Peyton Manning. It looks official, but I like the picture. I break it out only in special occasions as we are possibly having now. So let me tell you this. As excited as I am for Tennessee, and as excited I am that we won big, and we're projected, of course, to beat the team coming up is another tune-up game, but then we go to Oklahoma. Okay, if we were to win at Oklahoma, where Coach Heupel played college ball and was second in the Heisman back in 2000, Then we start playing some tougher. It's Oklahoma's first SEC game, by the way, now that they've joined the SEC. We still got to go down to Florida. We've got to go to Georgia. Bama comes to us. But say after those games, and Georgia's probably going to beat us, let's just be honest. But if we come out unscathed with the others, it's going to be interesting. See, just like in football, you get excited, you have your moments. So happens in the political world. And I relate everything back to this presidential election, I know. But I want to remind you, don't give up on your team just yet, be it Democrat or Republican. You need to exercise your right to vote. Sometimes I believe the media tries to either overhype a candidate or underhype a candidate to try to affect voter turnout. My hope is the days in the near future, they have the technology, I believe, to take smartphones or some kind of way to get one vote per person, and they could, just like they know how, look at our financial transactions, right? They trick you into putting all your financial information. Many of you do. I do not. I do not put my financial and my credit cards on my smartphone, but some of you do. I've seen some folks go up and they tap their phone to the payment situation there, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. I personally, I still carry cash and pay cash as much as possible. I do carry some credit cards, but I'm going to be the old guy dragging my feet and trying to slow down the change, but it's coming. But just like they picked Tennessee in 1998, did you know what they did the next year? People screamed it wasn't fair. So they went in and they messed with the computer, and they took out strength of schedule, and they put back in where the AP Associated Press and the coaches poll had a bigger play. So 1998 was the only year the computer got to pick the strength of schedule and who played in the national championship. And it just happened to be Tennessee was picked by the computer based on the facts of the team that played the hardest schedule, and of course we were undefeated. And we beat Florida State, if you guys remember, in the national championship game. What I'm saying is all the computer talk right now, the AI, the artificial intelligence, what happens when it makes a move that they don't expect? Just like the college world was so excited about the computer helping pick the who's going to be in the national championship. Well, then when it didn't pick its Notre Dame, it's Bama, it's teams that wanted in there, but they weren't their strength of schedule. And I think something else that's a little bit of history you can go check out if you'd like. Penn State had undefeated season back in 1968 and 69. Both years they were denied the national championship back then because the press and them picked who was the national champions, and especially after the bowl games. Well, since Penn State was said your schedule was not hard enough, they chose to play Tennessee again because our strength of schedule. We were in the top 5 back in those days in the early 70s, and that's when we were again in the tops. If you'll look at the winningest programs, Tennessee's in the top 7, by the way, all time, with Michigan and some of the others. Just don't forget about Tennessee. But I'm going here for a reason. Penn State thought, hey, we'll book Tennessee on our schedule, and if we beat Tennessee, that's going to give us cred to be in the national championship. Well, they booked us. They came down and played in Neyland Stadium, and 1970, I believe it was, and we beat them pretty bad. So in 71, we were supposed to then go to Penn State, but they moved it to December. Well, Tennessee said, we don't want to go and play in that frigid area, so we're going to ask for a neutral location. Joe Paul knew we didn't have lights. I don't know if you knew this. We were one of the last to get lights in the out of all the SEC. I think Mississippi State was the last, but we didn't have lights in our stadium. Joe Paul then agreed to play at Memphis State. Okay, scheduling started happening. Long and short, that's how we have lights now in Neyland Stadium, is because Doug Dickey, who was the athletic director, said, hey, we don't want to lose this opportunity. So he committed to a night game at Neyland Stadium with Penn State. So as he agreed to that, and I believe that was 71, Penn State back-to-back came basically to Neyland Stadium. We beat them in 70 in the daytime, and then we ended up beating them at night. But you know the sad thing in that history is we started the first black quarterback in the SEC. And go do the research. Condridge, he did a great job, but they refused to put that game on television. It was our first game with lights. We were in the top 5. But Penn State and all that. What am I saying? Sometimes you can do everything you want to try to make things happen. And there's always somebody every now and then that pulls the rug out from under you. Condridge Holloway should have been looked at. The nation should have known his name. He had a great game, and they beat Penn State again. And but sometimes, I just want to encourage you that if sometimes you've done all you can, you've put in every effort to put the lights in your life, to do all the extra, and there may be someone or forces against you that just want to ruin your world, ruin your day, understand God's still in control, and you don't have to let it ruin your life. That was a long way for me to say, don't give up, my friend. God's in control, and he has a path for your life. We'll be back after this break.
During the dog days of summer, 10-year-old Rebecca Caldwell and her 8-year-old brother Joshua were selling lemonade in front of their home in Chesapeake, Virginia, when a stranger seemingly stopped to buy a drink.
Seems super nice.
That turned out not to be the case when the man took their $40 in earnings and sped off.
Yeah, I was really upset, and my husband was on the phone with me when it happened.
Home security footage shows the man approaching the stand and grabbing the money jar while their mother was inside. The robbery could have left the family disheartened, but instead they chose to focus on prayer and forgiveness.
Why did you pray for the man who stole your money?
Because I wanted him to become a Christian.
Rebecca and Joshua, along with their parents, quickly forgave the man who stole from them.
I just think it's better to forgive and just to always be mad at the guy, because then you're just always gonna think back on that day and be like, oh, I'm so mad at that guy.
When life handed these two young entrepreneurs a sour situation, the community really stepped up to help and gave them something that was much sweeter.
This has been incredible, mind-blowing. I mean, it's just so overwhelming.
A week after the robbery, the community came together and helped the Caldwell family raise more than $6,200 in donations at a special lemonade event.
All the people were really nice, and I got to ride on one of their motorcycles.
Immediately, there was so much support coming out of it that it's like, we're blessed by this whole thing. I mean, yeah, something bad happened for a moment, but ever since that moment, it's just been blessing after blessing.
As news stations spread their story across the country, the Caldwells are using their time in the spotlight to share the gospel.
We've talked a lot about forgiveness in our interviews. Some people have asked why we choose to forgive.
Taping this heartfelt message to the lemonade stand, the Caldwells pointed those who stopped by toward the cross, turning their experience into a powerful testimony.
If God can do all this through a lemonade stand, he can do it through anything. He can do the impossible. We just want people to know that God forgave us, and so we can forgive other people.
Rebecca and Joshua, the youngest of 7 siblings, plan to use some of the funds raised for their oldest sister's missionary trip to Asia, with the rest going towards some new toys, like a 4-wheeler and a dirt bike. The Caldwell story is a powerful reminder that when life hands you lemons, you can turn them into lemonade, and with faith and love, you might just find yourself getting something far sweeter. Brody Carter, CBN.
third of college students think it's acceptable to use violence or other methods to stop a campus speech, according to a new survey. The Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, polled more than 50,000 college students from more than 250 universities. They found 32% of students believe it's at least sometimes okay to use violence to stop a campus speech. At least sometimes okay to use violence to stop a campus speech. Believe it's at least sometimes okay. Found 32% of students believe it's at least sometimes okay to use violence to stop a campus speech.
Did you hear that, my friends? 32% of college students think it's okay to use violence. It's acceptable to stop free speech. Now, if you and I said, hey, I don't want to hear anyone blaspheme God, I'm going to use violence to stop those that use damn in God's name or profane language or going against the Word of God, they would say, oh, you're being oppressive. Listen to the rest of this.
While more than half say blocking other students from attending would be acceptable. And
51% think it's okay to block people. Are you catching this, my friends? I know some of you are driving and eating a donut or drinking some coffee, but listen to these stats one more time.
32% of students believe it's at least sometimes okay to use violence to stop a campus speech, while more than half say blocking other students from attending would be acceptable. And 69% say shouting down someone to prevent them from speaking on campus is okay.
69% said it's okay to shout down a speaker is acceptable. You know, when they blow the whistles and the foghorns when there's a guest speaker. What happened to manners? What happened to saying, hey, you share your side, I'll share my side, we'll debate and have a... No, they're pushing towards a very dangerous view, totalitarianism.
And when it comes to having open and honest dialogue on campus, students say there are some topics that are more difficult to talk about than others. More than half said having an open and honest conversation about the war in Gaza is difficult. And nearly half said abortion was also a tough topic. And 42% said talking about transgender rights wasn't easy.
So the three big topics, Israel and Palestine, abortion, and transgenderism. 55% said Israel and Palestine's a conflict. 45% said abortion. And 42% transgender rights. Now, going back to what they said, 69% of these college kids said it's okay to block free speech with noise and keeping them from being heard. Does that disturb anyone but me? What are these kids being? Who is leading this education mantra other than our own federal government? See, that's my concern with No Child Left Behind. The Bushes brought it in. So it's not just the Democrats, it's the Republicans too. The No Child Left Behind, when you go look behind the curtain, you know, and you want to see, do you remember the Land of Oz? You know, you had someone without a brain, someone without courage, and everyone's, you know, got their issues, but they finally go and find Oz, but he wasn't available. So they sneak into the castle and they pull back the curtain and they find out the wizard's not all he's cracked up to be. I think that's what you're finding out when you pull back the curtain on your Democrat and your Republican Party. It's not what it's all cracked up to be. Why are we so divisive? Why are things so challenging? Why are things so, not like we thought? Reality check. How divided is America really? Here's a study.
Reality check. And this one, I think you're going to like. We hear all the time about how polarized we've become as a nation. When Pew Research asked Americans what one word they would use to describe politics today, the most popular response was divisive. And it is true that on this policy or that policy, conservatives and liberals still disagree on many of the same issues we've had for years. But there are also a whole lot of things that we actually agree on.
Ah, so interesting. Let's see what we agree on.
For starters, we tend to worry about the same kinds of things. Artificial intelligence.
88% worry about artificial intelligence. That means liberals, independents, conservatives, Scooby-Doo, all parties right now have got a concern about artificial intelligence. I do too, so I'm with the 88%.
Getting scammed. We worry that our kids are spending too much time on their phones.
58% are worried about scamming, and 76% are worried about kids spending too much time on their phones. So far, I'm in.
But no matter the political party, we all tend to love the National Park Service, and NASA, and the Post Office.
76% like the national parks, 67% like NASA. I don't know if they will after they go see the movie that just came out. 72% said they like the Postal Service. Did anyone watch the videos of them being involved in the political process in 2020? Anyway.
Then there's some things that pretty much all of us dislike, like people having affairs.
89% said we don't like when you do the bow chicka bow bow with someone other than your mate.
The idea of cloning people and Kim Jong-un.
84% don't like cloning, and 91%, he's the highest dislikable on the chart so far, is the North Korea leader.
But almost all of us watch fireworks on the 4th of July, leave tips for our servers at restaurants.
92% still believe in tips. That's the highest. They just beat out Kim Jong-un.
Or say we do. Keep our phones nearby every waking hour, and decorate our homes for the holidays. We believe in the freedoms of speech, of privacy, of religion.
Now, according to this is a CBS Sunday Morning, and it just came out a day ago. They're claiming, CBS, 90% of Americans they poll believe in free speech. But if you go back to the college students that I just told you straight Arrow News, just using the smaller segment, the college students, they're being taught anti-free speech. But when you polled America, CBS News, which is liberal, 90% of CBS polls said they believe in free speech. So what that means is the folks outside of the college world. I've got to ask you, parent, if you're listening to me, do you really want to send your kid to college? You might really, I know you're thinking, but if they don't go to college, they won't be rich and famous. Do you really want them to be that way? What you may want to ask yourself is, maybe I should pray with them about becoming a trades. Do you ever hear of riots in the trade schools? Do you ever hear of Palestine riots? You know, where they're you know, in the process of learning how to be a plumber or a construction worker? I've been told on good authority, I've got a friend that works downtown in the electrical. Do you know if you become a pole climber that works on the poles for electricity and phone lines, etc., you make 90 to 100 grand a year. And your apprenticeship is less than 2 years. That's less time than college. And you're going to make 100 grand? But when you come out of college, after 4 years, you're going to be somewhere between 300 and 400 grand in debt, and you're lucky to land a job making 75 G's. Savvy? Maybe you need to relook at what you think is successful and what would be an easier path for your child. A lot of people that do the hands-on jobs, plumbing, construction workers, etc., they're actually making more money faster, and they're retiring earlier with a better pension than kids that go to college. Interesting stuff, is it not? Something for you to consider, my dear friends. Let's listen to the rest before the break.
And we fiercely believe that everyone deserves equal treatment under the law. So, yeah, the angry pundits on TV and social media certainly give us the impression that we are a wildly divided country, so that's what we wind up believing. But you know what? we might just be a little bit wrong about that. One study after another shows that we tend to have exaggerated ideas about what the other guys believe, and they have an exaggerated idea about us. For example, this 2018 study found that Republicans believe that 37% of Democrats are union members. The actual number is 11%.
Only 11% of Democrats are union workers.
Meanwhile, Democrats believe that 33% of Republicans earn more than $250,000 a year. The real number, 2%.
How many Republicans earn $250,000 or more? Only 2%.
So, it's true. We're not as far apart as we think we are. And that's the reality. I checked.
So it's important for us to really consider that unity is something that we can achieve and we should strive for.
Do you know what this wonderful country is made of? It's made up of 100 different kind of people, and 100 different ways of talking, and 100 different ways of going to church. But they're all American ways. Wouldn't we be silly if we went around hating people because they comb their hair different than ours?
But we can perhaps remember, if only for a time, that those who live with us are our brothers, and surely we can begin to work a little harder to bind up the wounds among us and to become in our hearts brothers and countrymen once again.
Again, at a very similar crossroads, we have a unique opportunity not only to diffuse those tensions, but to take a radically different path. It starts by seeing within others and within ourselves that which is not selfish, but is brave and generous and idealistic and has good intentions.
Think about that, fellas. Use your good American heads. Don't let anybody make suckers out of you. Well, gotta go to work.
Now that's a call to unity by Robert Kennedy Jr., Make America Healthy Again. He and his former running mate, Miss Shannon, they're really taking this this very serious, this upcoming presidential race. And Nicole Shanahan, she's actually got a commercial out, and it's talking about, of course, having common sense and allowing yourself to have a thing called independence. So Nicole Shanahan, she also says there's a problem people have with Trump derangement syndrome. Here's the commercial. Now she is divorced from the Google mogul. So when they divorced, she's very wealthy. She gave $100 million to the Democratic Party this year alone. But they were so unkind to Robert Kennedy and her when they tried to run as a third party. She's withdrawn all of her funding, and she is now supporting Donald Trump with Robert Kennedy.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, Independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With Independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, Independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of Independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Ask your doctor if independence is right for you and enjoy your freedoms once again.
Independence. That's the name of the ad. And it's Nicole Shanahan that bankrolled that. And for a lady that gave $100 million to the Democratic Party this year and then walked away. I reported earlier Alan Dershowitz this Sunday, who's been a lifelong Democrat, a liberal lawyer, announced he has become an independent. He has walked away from the Democratic Party. Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard. There's such a list now of people leaving the Democratic Party. And don't forget Joe Manchin, even though he had 6 months left in his senatorship, walked away from the Democrats and is now listing himself as an independent. He's not left the caucus of the Democrats, but he has said he no longer considers himself a Democrat. You've got to ask yourself why. Why are these people who probably have knowledge of behind the scenes leaving the Democratic Party? As I mentioned, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, who's always voted Democrat and liberal, has said now he endorses Trump and is a GOPer. Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Bernie Sanders far-left liberal from Hawaii congresswoman, is now endorsed Donald Trump, and she remains an independent. Then you have Vivek Swamy, who leaned liberal, got his money through big pharmaceutical wealth, is now supporting Donald Trump. You've got, and I mentioned Alan Dershowitz, of course. There's just been others, and as you start looking at that, Kristen Sinema, the senator from Arizona, who left the Democratic Party a year ago and labeled herself an independent. There's something going on within the Democratic Party, an implosion, if you will. And may I give you my theory? My theory is that they're having trouble with leadership. I don't think Hakeem Jeffries can carry Nancy Pelosi's briefcase. Nancy Pelosi, whether you like her or not, don't forget her father was a part of the Baltimore Mafia, if you will. Baltimore, he was the mayor and got involved in politics, and then they moved and took their movement to California. But Nancy Pelosi was raised in a very, very, if you want to call it, crime family. You can do the research and see that, but he was involved really heavily in the mafia. Many feel it was the mafia that worked in concordance with the CIA that had John F. Kennedy assassinated. If you go back and look at those assassinations, the four that many folks feel very interested in how close they were: Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, and of course John F. Kennedy. Go look at the timing. All four of those men were assassinated within months of each other, and there seems to be a direct tie with mafia and CIA connections. Savvy? Pelosi has ties with the mafia, and she has ties with her trading, etc., and her husband, Paul Pelosi, with many energy deals around the country. If you remember back when Trump was president, she said she was going to go to Taiwan, and she was going to fly a plane there, and Taiwan said if she tried to land it, they would shoot her down, but they did not. But she went to Taiwan because, if you remember, she had strong ties with China, just like Dianne Feinstein. China sees Taiwan as a part of their monopoly. Taiwan tries to find independence as their own country. It was Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, and Donald Trump, the first world leaders to acknowledge Taiwan as an independent country. Then Japan and others followed suit. Since Donald Trump lost in 2020, Biden and others in the Democratic Party put Taiwan back under the shelter, if you will, of China. China technically controls North Korea. If you go look on the map, you can see how geographically China is very close to controlling both of them anyway. Why do I say that? Because if you go back to the Democratic Party, they have close ties with these countries politically. They always try to get us to think Russia, Russia, Russia. That's why they had Trump tied to Russia when they secretly were tied to China. Savvy? If you go back and look, though, it was the GOP, Richard Nixon, that opened trade to China back in 72, and he also dropped the gold standard, got us on the petrodollar, but he also opened up the ability for big pharma to advertise on TV. Up to 1972, it was illegal for a pharmaceutical company to advertise on radio or TV. They did not want to manipulate people into taking things for their body that might not be agreeable. So I say all that to say, as I'm taking you down a little bit of memory lane there seems to be a tie with the Pelosi's and the Feinsteins and the long-standing Democratic Party that is unraveling. Because Hakeem Jeffries, they talk about how Mike Johnson doesn't seem to have the unity of the Republican Party at times, but you got to give Mike Johnson a break. He was put in power halfway through a term because McCarthy was ousted. So you've got to do that. But I think what the Democrats have done is smokescreen that Hakeem Jeffries has failed to unite the Democratic Party. Think about that. Pelosi, when she had the full reign of power, that was a tight ship. You did not talk bad about policies. You didn't break ranks. Pelosi pretty much had about a 15 to 20 year run with the Democrats in lockstep. When she stepped down, now it was Pelosi that got Joe Biden. If you remember, she still has some power. She said, Joe, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. After she made that statement, Joe got COVID. He went away for, recuperation. And while he had COVID, a white piece of paper was plastered on social media that I have decided not to run and drop out of the race. It had no presidential seal, no White House seal, no letterhead. It was just a white piece of paper. And if you look at it closely, it's got some grammar errors. So somebody wrote that in a big hurry. And then shortly after that, on his X account, Joe Biden supposedly endorses Kamala Harris to take his place as the Democratic candidate. He did not say anything verbally for the face-to-face for over 7 days. He supposedly called in, if you remember, Kamala, and but that seemed awful sketch. My point is, Pelosi used the last of her power to get Joe Biden out and get Kamala in, the California connection, if you will, Pelosi, Kamala, etc. Because I think they knew this election, Joe could not beat Trump. And I think they know more than likely Kamala can't. But here's where I think the strategy is. I think they picked the most liberal running mate, which is Tim Walz. His own family endorses Trump and not him. It's pretty bad when your brother hasn't talked to you in 8 years and will not endorse you, but wears Trump paraphernalia, brags about voting for Trump in 2016 and 20 on social media. So where are we going with all this? What you've got is a situation where the Democratic Party has got a huge shakeup that's happening as we speak. So what I think they're trying to do is they're experimenting with the possibility of taking a far left stand with Kamala and Walz, knowing they'll probably lose, but seeing how the nation responds. How many Americans will actually vote for a far left ticket such as that? They kind of did that with Dukakis. You remember back when Dukakis ran? They knew he had no prayer of winning, but I think they ran, it was like a temperature, checking the weather, if you will. How do people respond to the far left policies and candidates? If you notice a couple of things with the Democratic Party, one, they have dropped climate change. Where's Greta Thunberg? How dare you? You don't see anything about the kid. Okay? Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore. That movie's now long enough when you go back and look, it's a fairy tale. Nothing, not one zilcho came true. So all their climate change, they've left out of the Democratic platform. And if you notice in the recent convention, nothing about climate change. Okay? If it was very little hinted at it. That was their big stick. oh, you better, the world is going under. But no, I guess not, because all of them are buying oceanfront properties. So where am I going with all this? The Democratic Party, I believe, is having a soft implosion within. The media is giving them a cover to protect it, if you will. That's why I think you see Kamala doing very few interviews. She keeps trying to emphasize joy and laughing and happiness, because there is unhappiness beneath the inside of the Democratic Party. We'll see what happens. But I predict that this election will be a landslide for Donald Trump if allowed to be a true election without any monkey business. And I see a big red wave coming. I'm not saying that because just because I'm a Trumper and I will be voting for him. I say that because I believe the common sense of America is listen. Because you keep having Democrats walking away. And as they're walking away, they're saying there's something about what the Democrats are trying to push in our face that just, we don't want it. Just like they, Mulvaney and Bud Light. From that moment on, America has realized we can vote with our feet, with our pocketbooks. We don't have to purchase and support things that we know are to be unkind. I've gone a little over the break. I'll be back after this.
Hi, this is Renee for the Republic. StarSpangled.com, a mission to awaken souls and help save America, headquartered in the South. I recommend the Macil Duncan radio show because, as a former news journalist, I know how important it is to find credible sources in today's world gone mad. Join Macil Duncan on his show and me on social media such as Facebook at Star Spangled Chick to find out why loving and protecting America has never been more vital in the history of the USA.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today? The only thing I didn't learn is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad
Today in
Council.
school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today? The only thing I didn't learn is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
In the woods, just outside of town.
Oh, not surprising. You've got your home. Bears have theirs.
Yeah, but see, this wasn't just any bear. This bear was wearing jeans and a hat, as in Smokey Bear.
Jeans and a hat. That's definitely Smokey. What exactly did he have to say?
Well, we were about to head home, after having a bonfire.
Oh, I can guess where this is going.
Right. See, Smokey told me the fire wasn't actually out. He said if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
That's true. Did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Wow, no kidding?
I'm a forest ranger. We never kid.
Sorry.
That was a joke.
Oh.
Get your Smokey on. If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference, because 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
God is still at work on college campuses a year after the move of the Holy Spirit at Asbury University. The latest example can be seen on the Corpus Christi campus of Texas A&M University. A recent campus gathering organized by New Life Young Adults drew nearly 1,500 students. Two pastors posted pictures of the gathering on Facebook, saying there were powerful testimonies with many physically healed and delivered, along with 62 baptisms. The Christian Post reported the message was about the conviction, cleansing, and commissioning that follows a genuine encounter with God.
So how about that? Texas A&M having an impact that seems very genuine there. And how about that? So you keep hearing good things. The media, that's, by the way, CBN News 700 Club. I encourage you to check out their view. I don't always agree with some of them. There's a couple of their folks. One, I can tell he does not like Trump. He's very anti-Trump. But they still get a very good Christian world biblical view. And I think that's what's important. Check this out. Japanese toothpaste ad gets pulled because it's mistaken for a national emergency alert. So as you listen to this, understand there is no emergency alert. Check this out.
A Japanese toothpaste commercial was pulled off the air because it accidentally made people think they were facing a national emergency. Lion Corporation, a major household goods manufacturer, debuted a commercial for their Systema Gum Plus premium toothpaste. For a country known for its quirky, often bizarre commercials, this ad seemed pretty tame on the surface. But if you listen closely to the sound effect at the start, it sounds eerily like this. That's the J Alert system, Japan's nationwide emergency warning alert used for serious threats like natural disasters or missile attacks. It's a sound no one wants to hear, but if you lived in Japan during 2017, when North Korea's Kim Jong-un was launching missiles left and right, you heard it plenty. You can imagine the last thing a toothpaste ad wants to do is cause a nationwide panic. Lion Corporation was quick to act. By the second day, the ad was pulled from both TV and their YouTube channel. In a statement, Lion said they would re-edit it to ensure it no longer sounds like the end of the world.
How about that? So you're listening to a toothpaste commercial, and if you were in Japan, thinking, uh-oh, we're under attack. So very interesting. Well, the opposition president is fleeing Venezuela because that country's gone nuts.
Venezuela Venezuelan presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez has fled to Spain in the latest development since Venezuela's highly contested and controversial presidential election. Many Western countries, including the United States, sees Gonzalez as the true winner, but its authoritarian president, Nicolas Maduro, claimed victory and, in the wake of upheaval and protests over the results, ordered for his opposition to be arrested. Just days after an arrest warrant was issued for Gonzalez, he landed at a military airport near Madrid on Sunday, following a negotiated deal with Maduro's government, allowing him to flee his home country to avoid charges of conspiracy. Since the election more than a month ago, Gonzalez has been in hiding as authorities have rounded up thousands of people, including hundreds of minors, arresting those protesting Maduro's claimed victory. After arriving in Spain, Gonzalez sent a voice message to his supporters.
Sounds like January 6th, doesn't it? You round up people that didn't agree with the outcome?
Saying, "My departure from Caracas was surrounded by acts of pressure, coercion, and threats. I trust that we will soon continue our fight to achieve our freedom and the restoration of Venezuela's democracy."
I don't know if you guys kept up with that, but that was a very controversial, election. And I think many folks, and what people don't understand is, why does Venezuela not only have a crazy vote, but why do some of our voting machines were tracked? Our votes were going places like Venezuela and other parts of the world to tabulate and then coming back to America. This still doesn't make any sense, and I think there may come a point where we're going to have to be very firm as a nation and as citizens. IRS recovers $1.3 billion in unpaid taxes from high-income Americans. Is this a Biden ploy to act like they're attacking the rich right here before the election?
The IRS has recovered $1.3 billion in unpaid taxes from high-income Americans since late 2023, according to the Treasury Department. Of 1,600 millionaires, nearly 80% were targeted for delinquent tax debts. In 2019, Yellen said the top 1% of wealthy Americans owed more than 1/5 of all unpaid taxes, essentially shifting the burden to ordinary citizens. Yellen emphasized to fix the problem, the Treasury had redirected IRS funding towards investments aimed at combating tax evasion among the wealthy. The initiative focuses on taxpayers with over $1 million in income and more than $250,000 in recognized tax debt.
I don't know about you. I have a tough time believing anything that lady says. But anyway, I'm talking about Yeltsin, not the reporter. Well, Volvo is backtracking on the EV pledge, kind of like Ford and others. Evidently, the electric vehicle is a bust.
Volvo is backing off its commitment to go all electric by 2030. The automaker now projects that instead between 90 to 100% of their cars sold will either be EVs or hybrids. Up to 10% of their sales will consist of so-called mild hybrids, where electric power only supplements a combustion engine. And they're certainly not alone in tempering EV expectations, with companies like Tesla, General Motors, Ford, Toyota, and more all readjusting their targets.
So, if everybody's readjusting their targets, again, is that why the Democrats did not mention about the green energy? You didn't hear anything talk about global warming and all their little talking points they have over the last several years. It's because their little inconvenient truth, the title of Al Gore's movie, is it's a lie. It's not true. And I think a lot of folks are starting to have concerns that that's what the Democrat Party does, is they tell things that aren't true. And in so doing, there's another song one of my listeners sent me. It's called Big Fat Liar. See what you think.
First black woman to be elected a district attorney in the state of California,
Wow.
San Francisco, and the first African American ever elected as an attorney general.
Yes, because you are
Yes,
Indian.
yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that.
You always say what is untrue. You are a master falsifier. When somebody fact checks you, Like a chameleon, you change your attire. Kamala's a big fat liar. Kamala's a big fat liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. The time for cackling is through. Joe Biden's condition is dire. Now the party turns to you. It's time to claim what you desire. Kamala's a big fat liar. Kamala's a big fat liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
I don't know about you. It's kind of a funny song. Kamala's a big fat liar, and it kind of goes off the Doors song. I'm not going to play the rest of it. I think if you want to go catch it online, go to YouTube and type in Kamala's a big fat liar. The Doors' Light My Fire is the song they're doing the parody from. So depending on what you think and what you believe. But here's another clip one of you sent me.
Paul's job is to be the Jack Kevorkian for America.
Twisted Tim's Stolen Valor scandal.
This is Waltz and his wife shaking hands like business associates. Interesting. What's going on here?
They're going to turn the entire Midwest into Mogadishu.
Tim Waltz has taken Minnesota so far to the left, it's practically floating above Japan. Konnichiwa, Minneapolis. I hope you like teriyaki. I've been blasting Fox News for my Trump Cybertruck for 13 days straight, and I'm ready to Fox-blame Tim Walz.
Communist propaganda.
He goes to China 30 times.
He loves it.
He loves China. Why did he honeymoon in China? I find that suspicious.
He honeymooned in China. He mini-mooned in Pyongyang. He went to a destination wedding on the lesbian island from Wonder Woman. Forget the Bible. This guy's going to be sworn in on a menu from Panda Express. Put down the chopsticks, Tim. In America, we eat noodles with a fork in one hand and a gun in the other.
The man even felt the need to give the false impression about his coaching position. The truth, he was the assistant coach.
This man is a Friday night liar. He said that he was a football coach, but he was actually the assistant football coach. Do you really want a VP who serves under other people?
This man, they call him Tampon Tim.
Tampon Tim. Tampon Tim. Tampons in 4th grade boys' bathrooms. What a freak.
I'm sorry, but politicians need to stay out of students' bathrooms.
And I agree. And so that's a kind of a little parody there. Desi Liddick explained, she calls it Fox Planes, Tim Walz. But with the upcoming election, a lot of folks are concerned. And as I mentioned to you before, the polls that have just come out this Sunday have Trump definitely ahead, not just nationally, but in all the swing states. So I think that's going to be something hard for them to right before this debate. So I think that's interesting. Let me also go on and tell you, just in, Rumble is no longer available in Brazil. A direct attack on freedom of expression in yet another country. Rumble, the leading free speech platform, has been banned in Brazil, marking a new and alarming attack on freedom of information. Rumble CEO Chris Pulaski issued a strong message to users warning of increasing restrictions in several countries around the world. In recent statement, and I'll read it for you. He says, "Dear Rumble users, I don't typically send messages to our users through email, but red lines have been crossed. There has been a major development with free speech platforms," and he says, "I feel it's." Let's see if it's going to let me see this. I guess not. So you have to go to X and read the rest of this. But it's very sad that right here again before an election, you hear this. Oh, it popped up. He goes, there have been major developments with free speech platforms, and I feel it's important to let everyone know what is going on and how you can help Rumble. Rumble is no longer available to citizens of Brazil, joining the ranks of France, Russia, and China. from media reports. Brazil no longer has Elon Musk X due to attacks on free speech by Alexandria de Moraes and Justice of Brazil's Supreme Court Federal Court. World powers don't want Rumble. They don't want X. They don't want Telegram. And they don't want Truth Social. So they want to control information put out of our companies, and our companies won't let them. So there are no other large companies fighting for freedom like we are. Put everything on the line for it. And the Telegram CEO was recently arrested. So it is interesting that you're seeing Elon Musk, who owns X, the guy that owns Telegram, and now Rumble, the three, because because Telegraph, Rumble, and X are the three probably platforms that the conservatives run to, because they feel Facebook, Instagram, and others are very much, they lean too far to the left. It's at least in the controlling. But Donald Trump is claiming in a private conversation with Mark Zuckerberg, he's claimed he will not vote for a Democrat again. He's voting independent or other candidates. He didn't endorse Trump, but he said he's not voting Democrat again. That's interesting, is it not? Well, 59% of U.S. voters approve of President Trump's Arlington visit and to commemorate the Kabul bombing victims. Now, in a direct hit piece in Modern Times, Democrats and their legacy media attacked and lied about President Trump's visit to Arlington Cemetery to commemorate the 13 U.S. soldiers that gave their life for our freedom. And you know the story. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did not bother to attend the ceremony. And even though they were invited, Joe was on vacation. And as I mentioned earlier, he has now technically accumulated the vacation of a 4 year in 4 years of what most folks would accumulate in 48 years. Joe Biden's taken so much vacation. He's been on vacation more days than he was on the job. In his 4 years, it accounts to 48 years if you are on a normal job pay scale here in America. So the guy has definitely checked out in more than one way. So interesting enough. So anyway, you could check out these things. This article happens to be in the Gateway Pundit, that 59% of voters do approve of him going there. And as do I. I'm glad Trump went. And Big Lots is filing for bankruptcy, citing inflation. How about that? Big of the Lots. Now, we just got a big donation from a Big Lot manager not too long ago. But Big Lots filed for bankruptcy on Monday, citing inflation and high interest rates as main reason for the discount retail store's financial troubles. The home goods chain, which boasts bargain prices for furniture and decor, also pointed to fewer people spending money on these things in the wake of the pandemic. So I think this is interesting. We're seeing that Lowe's is closing stores. As a part of Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing, Big Lots agreed to sell its business to a private equity firm, Nexus Capital Management, for about $760 million. So Big Lots runs more than 13,000 stores in 48 states. So this is going to affect a lot of people and a lot of jobs. So keep that in your mind and in your prayers. And it's kind of heartbreaking when you see, someone like a Biden being able to ruin the economy so bad that it's shutting down businesses. It's making it hard for people to coexist. And I think that's sad. I think it's very sad. But that's me. I feel sorry for everybody, but I hate to see that coming. Let's move on. Almost to the break. The latest national New York Times Senior College poll has Trump leading and Harris figured for a radical. The New York Times and Senior College polls, I told you, came out, and it's got Trump up 1%. But according to this, if the other polls had her up 4% and Trump to be up 1%, That's a 4 to 5 point slide, depending on how you look at it. But I've never been convinced that she was up. Okay, so that's interesting there. So that I think that's something to keep in mind. So I thought you might enjoy this. Apple debuts the new iPhone and Apple Watch models. You can go to Axios and see the full story. But Apple debuts a new iPhone and Apple Watch modes. And so why it matters? The iPhone remains the tech industry's single most important product and the key to not only Apple's fortunes, but for a range of players, including wireless carriers and component makers. So here are the biggest things Apple announced on Monday. iPhone 16. The base for iPhone 16 models adds a new A18 processor and a new camera button designed to improve mobile photography. It also brings over the action button that was previously limited to higher-end Pro models. And the Pro 16 comes in a range of new colors and 2 screen sizes, the 6-inch and 0.1 and the 6.7 inch. Okay. But the iPhone 16 starts at $799 and $899 for the iPhone 16 Plus, the bigger one. So it's interesting, though, in a survey, it says most young people would rather shop at Goodwill or have hand-me-down clothes so they can keep up with the latest technology than getting a nicer, newer clothes or shoes. They're putting technology above their personal appearance, if you want to call it paraphernalia. So I think that's interesting. That's been trending for some time. So if you want to go and check out that Axios article and find out about the Apple 16, it also talks about Apple Intelligence. CEO Tim Cook described the iPhone 16 family as the first iPhones designed from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. The generative AI features first previewed at a June developer conference. And then they talk about AirPods, okay, and the Apple Watch. So it's a good article if you're into Apple products and Apple dominance, etc. It's growing and it's dominating, and I don't think anyone is listening to my voice saying I'm shockarooed by that. But anyway, we're going to get ready to go to the break, and as we do, I got a news clip for you. Don't forget China's spamouflage accounts attempt to stir chaos ahead of the U.S. elections.
As the 2024 presidential election draws nearer, China is stepping up its attempts to influence American voters' decision. A new report shows a rise in what's known as spamouflage, with accounts claiming to be U.S. voters and soldiers posting about hot-button issues, including reproductive rights, U.S. support for Ukraine, and America's policy toward Israel. These spamouflage accounts criticize both President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as former President Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
So these Chinese spamouflage accounts, they're attempts to cause chaos in U.S. election because you do leave a carbon footprint, if you will, when you go online. And so what they do, if you lean left or liberal, they send stuff your way that confuses you about your candidate or the opposition, and etc. if you lean right. And they call it spamouflage. So be wise, my friend, what you listen to, and be careful that it's not maybe something that's that it's a manipulation just to try to get you, out of your comfort zone or saying something that really isn't who you really are. Melania Trump breaks silence in a bombshell tell-all memoir. Think about this.
Lady Melania Trump is about to release her memoir, which she hopes will clarify the facts around her life and service.
We'll listen to it when we come back. This is the Macil Duncan Show. I got breaks, so don't turn the dial.
Hi, this is Rhonda Tate. I'm from Chickamauga, Georgia. And I love listening to your show because you tell all the truth. And you're God-fearing and God-loving man. And I also love the Lord. And thank you for all that you do. I appreciate it.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Thank you, and we're back. You know, when it comes to fighting crime, he's never going to roll over. He's McGruff the crime dog.
Roll over. You're okay, Joy.
Thanks.
And I got 2 words to make your neighborhood safer.
Uh-huh.
Coffee cake.
Ah, the old poison coffee cake trick. The cook takes a bite, falls down to the ground.
Oh, it's for your neighbors.
You want to poison your neighbors?
No, never.
Oh, thank goodness.
No, for 25 years, I've been given tips about preventing crime. One of them is to invite people over for a cup of coffee and share the problems you see on your street and what to do about them.
That's great.
You can invite your local police officer to help, too.
You know, I hear they're very fond of donuts.
No, that's just a myth.
Oh, well, I'd come to your doghouse for coffee cake in a safer neighborhood.
Now you're talking. You can cut down on crime by not just locking your door, but opening up to your neighbors.
Still, a 10-pound bundt cake dropped on a bad guy's foot could help.
It couldn't hurt. And going to weprevent.org for other tips could help, too.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, Crime Prevention Coalition of America, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Okay, everybody, it's time for another game of Who Wants to Volunteer in Your Community? Let's go to Ella in Santa Monica, California.
Hey, wait, I don't want to volunteer.
Well, I have a feeling you'll change your mind when you realize how much fun volunteering really can be.
But
in fact, Ella, we've asked your entire algebra class here to tell you more.
Wait, you did what?
Take it away, class.
Hey, Ella, we've been noticing you lately in algebra class.
You have?
I'm feeling some love here.
Yeah, and we were thinking that you should start tutoring people because you're all, like, smart and stuff.
I should?
Yeah, you free tonight?
Go for it.
I should.
They love you, Ella. Well, sounds like we have another happy volunteer.
That's me.
To find out ways you can volunteer in your community, log on to teensvolunteer.org and join us next time for another episode of Who Wants to Volunteer in Your Community? Do what you like to do. Volunteer. A public service message brought to you by the USA Freedom Corps, the U.S. Department of Justice, the Crime Prevention Coalition of America, and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
More than 1/3 of top elections officials across the country have resigned or retired since the 2020 presidential election. That's according to a CBS News investigation. This unprecedented turnover rate, the highest in over 2 decades, raises significant concerns about potential impacts as we approach the next major election in November. Here are a few examples of the election worker turnover. In Pennsylvania, Luzerne County has seen 5 different directors of elections in the past 5 years. In Maryland, the turnover rate is a staggering 46% as of January 2024, meaning nearly half of the state's election officials have started their roles since 2020. In Texas, 77 out of 254 counties have lost at least one election official since the 2020 election. Nationally, the turnover rate among local election officials has reached 36% between November of 2020 and January of 2024, according to the Bipartisan Policy Center. This is the highest turnover rate since the early 2000s, though the data might not fully reflect recent changes, as it only extends through the beginning of this year. What's behind this surge in departures? Election integrity groups tell CBS News that threats and harassment are significant factors. According to the Brennan Center, 40% of local election officials have reported feeling threatened on the job.
We're talking about real people that are receiving the most horrible, hateful, graphic, sexist, violent death threats on the telephone.
Some officials worry that this high turnover is leading to a loss of valuable experience, with seasoned workers retiring early or leaving after decades of service. They fear that the inexperience of new supervisors could lead to more mistakes, further eroding trust in the election process.
Okay, my friend, then again, this is where I am a big proponent. They've got the technology. If they wanted to, they could take our iPhones, for instance, just like so many of them you have to have a facial or a thumb or somehow just to unlock your phones. I believe they could fix, and it would bring a lot of the stress down. That's just my opinion. It could bring a lot of stress down if they would find a way to secure the elections, make things much more manageable, and take away that element. Because what happens is, when people think, hey, we can get officials to quit, judges or politicians, police chiefs, sheriffs, etc., with a lot of pressure, a lot of unkindness towards them or their family, that's giving into bully tactics. Not many folks have the resolve to say, listen, come hell or high water, I'm here to stay. That's not in a lot of people today. A lot of folks they crush. They don't have that stamina, that zippity-doo-dah, if you will, that says, listen, I will not be bullied. Now, some people don't understand. Some people just have a quietness about them, an affirmation that people take their kind demeanor as someone that can be bullied. And one person, I think, it's just been pretty amazing, is Melania Trump, and she breaks her silence and her new memoir that just came out. See what you think.
Lady Melania Trump is about to release her memoir, which she hopes will clarify the facts around her life and service.
Writing this memoir has been a deeply personal and reflective journey for me. As a private person who has often been the subject of public scrutiny and misrepresentation, I feel a responsibility to clarify the facts. I believe it is important to share my perspective, the truth.
Her memoir has already soared to the top spot on several Amazon bestseller lists, despite not being released until October 1st. Alex, what are you hoping this memoir reveals? And let's not forget, Melania is the first lady in many years not to feature on the cover of Vogue, despite obviously being a very beautiful, stylish woman. We had Jill on the cover, Hillary, Michelle, but no Melania.
Yeah, Melania is absolutely beautiful. And then when Vice President Kamala was on the cover, she was wearing Chuck Taylor tennis shoes. And it shows you, for all the people that say Donald Trump is against immigration, he married an immigrant. So I think that just proves their point to be invalid. And I'm excited to see her side of the story. And she gets a lot of unfair treatment. I think it would be very hard to be Melania Trump with all the unfair attacks because of her husband on her. So I'm excited to see what comes out in this memoir that'll give us an inside scoop.
Alex Stein, thank you for your time this evening.
So I think it's interesting. Melania Trump, who speaks 5 languages fluently, very intelligent woman, very pretty woman, not to mention a former supermodel, has not been asked to be since she was the wife of Donald Trump and the President Trump. None of these fashion magazines want to put her on the cover or feature her. That right there shows you there is a bias. I think they're afraid of something about Melania, and I don't know if you would agree with my theory here. She could be the women is their biggest demographic, the Democrats, liberals. If they allowed Melania to get fair treatment in the media with her intelligence, multiple language, but she also believes in marriage and family values. She's a woman of faith. She could upset their apple cart because many women might want to listen to her. Like the reporter said, she's an immigrant. She knows what it's like to come to America from a poor lifestyle from another country. So, interesting enough, again, the bias of the media exposed. Is that shockaroo to anybody? I don't think so. I think we're all just saying, it's sad that it's there, but it's there. And I just don't know what else we can do about it. There seems to be a true disconnect. Well, I mentioned earlier about the Big Lots retailer. I found the clip here. See what you think.
Big news from Big Lots today. The discount retailer filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in its filing with a Delaware bankruptcy court. Big Lots lists its assets and liabilities in the range of $1 billion to $10 billion. As part of the Chapter 11 process, Big Lots stores and website will remain open for shoppers. The Columbus, Ohio-based company says it has secured $707.5 million in financing to support its business. Big Lots has 1,400 stores across the U.S. with 30,000 employees. The company says private equity firm Nexus Capital is acquiring substantially all of its stores and operations. Nexus Capital will serve as what's known as a stalking horse bidder in the court-supervised auction process, meaning its acquisition is expected to close later this year, unless a better offer comes along. Big Lots blames its current situation on factors like high inflation and interest rates and changes in consumer spending habits.
Well, Big Lots was that store you went to before there was a Dollar General store. The Dollar General store was a big success for some, and a lot of folks loved the Dollar General store. But before Dollar General store, I believe Big Lots is older and longer. But anyway, it's seen its day, and it's time to either remodel, revamp, or fade. But if you like the Dollar General store, here is Tim Hawkins, my favorite Christian comedian, talking about it.
All right, I wanted to kick this off with a little song about a place that means a lot to me. I know these are troubled economic times, and this is a song about a place that's helped me out a lot. Here we go. Well, never really had a lot of money in the bank. It's hard to pay the mortgage and fill the gas tank. That's why I want to take a little time to thank God for the dollar store. If you want to buy cheap stuff, you're in luck. Fill up the cart and go dump it in the truck. It's a place that you go if you only got a buck. Thank God for the dollar store. Well, I got baby wipes, I got a baby rattle, some gum and a kite and a ping pong paddle, SOS pads and a box of fiddle faddle. Thank God for the dollar store. Y'all know what fiddle faddle is? Okay. It's like a poor man's Cracker Jack. Come on, people. Well, you can buy shampoo and cheap blue jeans, peanut butter crackers, and a can of beans. You can feed a whole family for not a lot of green. You can buy a rake or a garden gnome, dog food, fingernail polish, and a comb. And the toys always break by the time you get them home. That's the truth. Thank God for the dollar store. Well, I got me a knife, I got some popsicles, a ring for my wife, and a big jar of pickles. You'd be amazed what you get for 20 nickels. Thank God. That's $1, sir. 20 nickels. Okay. You were homeschooled, weren't you? I knew. I said, you'd be amazed what you get for 20 nickels. Oh, thank God for the dollar store.
That was Tim Hawkins, and we're going to break. I'll be back. This is Macil Duncan. Don't forget my book, Move Your Mountains. Learn the journey of faith. I appreciate all that go online. Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, Thrifty Books, wherever you get your online reading material. Move Your Mountains. Learn the Journey of Faith by Macil Duncan. Thanks so much. I'll be right back.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Hi, this is Rob Mitchell, Rutherford County Assessor of Property, and I love to listen to the Macil Duncan Show because it's one of the few places that actually tells the citizens the truth about what's happening in their community and in America. I know that when I listen to Macil's show, I'm hearing the truth, and I'm hearing an honest man give an honest opinion. Thank you, and God bless you.
Little boy blue, come blow on your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. You've messed up again. What's the matter with you? Can't you do anything right? Worthless little brat.
What a child learns about violence, a child learns for life.
Somebody's going to get hit.
Teach carefully. We can show you how. We're ACT, Adults and Children Together Against Violence. And if you're a parent or caregiver, we can help you teach your child how to rise above violence, not succumb to it. Visit actagainstviolence.org for details, or call 877-ACT-WISE for a free brochure. Call today, 877-ACT-WISE, and stop violence before it starts. This message brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Psychological Association, and the MetLife Foundation.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
did the choreography myself. Hey honey, have you gained some weight in your rear end? The dress you wear reminds me of my old girlfriend. And where'd you get those shoes? I think they're pretty lame. Would you stop talking, cause I'm trying to watch the game? If you're a man who wants to live a long and happy life, these are the things you don't say to your wife. I planned a hunting trip next week on your birthday. I didn't ask you, but I knew it'd be okay. Go make some dinner while I watch this fishing show. I taped it over our old wedding video. If you're a man who've done that, a long and happy life, these are the things you don't say to your wife. Solo, okay. Your cooking is okay, but not like mother makes. The diamond in the ring I bought you is a fake. Your eyes look puffy, dear. Are you feeling ill? Happy anniversary, I bought you a treadmill. If you're a man who wants to live a long and happy life, that too. These are the things you don't say to your wife. If you're a man who doesn't want to get killed with a knife, these are the things you don't say to your wife.
Again, that's Tim Hawkins. If you're looking for a chuckle for the day, go to YouTube, type in Tim Hawkins, or go to www.timhawkins.net. When he came through Chattanooga, my wife and I went on a double date with Jimmy and Kim Vincent, good friends of ours out in Dayton, and we had a blast. If he's in your area, no, I'm not getting paid to promote him. I just like the guy. I think he's a unique person. And I personally think he's got a skill of humor in the Christian community that we're lacking today. But something else I like is my Tennessee Vols. As you notice, I got my Peyton Manning picture up. I don't normally post. I've got my 1998 National Championship leather hat here in the studio. And I am excited about what happened this weekend.
51-10 last night. This is what ascension mode for a team looks like. Now, the bad news, if you were here for entertainment, is this game was not for you. This gets a 1 chalice out of 5 rating, not even chali. We didn't even get plural here, just 1 chalice. However, if you're a Tennessee fan, this was a 5 out of 5. What if I told you, this is like an inverse paper pop, this is like an inverse, this is like a paper fold stat. What if I told you Friday, Nico was going to go 16 of 23, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks? That sounds like a game that's a dogfight to me. That sounds like a game where he's played okay, but he's kept NC State in it, and then maybe NC State in Super Bowl mode, some magic happens. What if I told you Tennessee's only going to have 1 wide receiver above 40 yards? What if I told you that? If you told me that, I would have said, well, I'm going to take those 9.5 points you're offering me close to kickoff with NC State. Let's just see what happens. 51-10. That's what ended up happening. Former version of me. 51-10. Tennessee's defense is the big story here. I would say Tennessee's D is the big story, but I'd have to say immunity there. But there is a headline. And the headline is Josh Heupel's team is becoming one of the most balanced and one of the most complementary type teams in the SEC now. And I don't know that a lot of folks predicted that, even me, when he got hired. But you know what everyone comes here for Saturday night? You know what the biggest question about this show is on Saturday night, and that is, who's the special musical guest? And every Sunday night, not Saturday, it's the same person. And she comes in here, and she rolls her piano in here, and who's going to be the victim? That's what we want to know. Colin, cue it up. Sarah McLachlan special, Tennessee over NC State. After all the hype that I...
you've never been live to a Tennessee game, you're missing it. It is one of the exciting experiences of all time. Now, I'm a pastor, and I want you to know I don't have proof, but there is some hieroglyphic theories that when Jesus comes back and we are raptured, the church will run through the T, and then we'll be caught up with him in the air. I know. Should not mock the Lord. I'm not doing that. But it's an experience. Tennessee was ranked number 1 in the nation by Kirk Herbstreit a few weeks ago as having the best pregame introduction because of the way our team runs through the T, the band, and the paraphernalia and the crowd. We are quite the home crowd, if you will. When we played Alabama last year and we beat them with the knuckleball field goal, which I thought we missed, I'll be honest with you, and until I saw the replay, because it just my angle, I just thought, oh man, we blew it. If you can remember, because Hendon Hooker had fumbled the ball, and Bama took it and went in, and we only had minute 46 seconds. And he marched it up the field, which to me was very Heisman-like, and got us in field goal range. And anyway, long and short, we did make it. So it'll be interesting to see. So I'm excited about what God is doing. And at the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to have a call-in live from Dave Adams we've got a special treat for you here in the Hickson area, here locally in Chattanooga, and he'll explain more when he calls in. But way to go, Tennessee fans, and I hope you guys that went to the games. I happened to go to one of the games. It was rather interesting. It was hot. I went to the opener, and I will tell you that. But there is so much going on in the country and in the world today. We need to be mindful that this is a great country. And here's one of my favorite patriotic songs as we go to the break.
Stomping boots on dusty trails where the thunder rolls. Stars and stripes hang high in the heartland of our souls. Old-time whiskey in our veins and the spirit of the free. Riding through the winds of change, it's where we want to be. We're proud Americans. Our hearts beat as one. The time has come to heal and embrace. So let's stay united and let our voices be heard. Proud Americans leading the way. Front porches and pickup trucks, our stories still unfold. From sea to shining sea, we've got so much untold. Mending fences, crossing lines, together we are strong. In the land of milk and honey, where we all belong. We're proud Americans. Our hearts beat as one. The time has come to heal and embrace. So let's stay united. Let our voices be heard. Proud Americans leading the way. Through the trials and pain we've always pulled through. In every small town and city under skies of blue. With grit and love in each verse we say, we're fighting for a brighter day. Guitars strung like battle cries in the twilight's golden hue. From the shadows to the spotlight, we sang a country tune. Bonfires light the night with hope and memories. Echoes of freedom carried by the breeze. We're proud Americans. Our hearts beat as one. The time has come to heal and embrace. So let's stay united. Let our voices be heard. Proud Americans leading the way. Proud Americans leading the way.
is Beverly Reynolds. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I just wanted to let you know that I feel it's important to have the Macil Duncan radio show. I listen to him and support him completely because he tells the truth that we don't hear on mainstream media concerning local, state, national, world happenings. He talks about our nation that was formed as one nation under God with the inclusion of individuals' God-given rights. He speaks about God, our creator. He talks about our Constitution that guarantees those rights. And the people need to get involved in their freedom, liberty, and regaining and retaining and protecting their constitutional rights. So I believe everyone should hear his show. They should get involved, whether it's physical, it's prayer, whatever. They need to get involved and pay attention to what's going on. And he's putting that word out there. He's a true Christian patriot, and I wish all Americans could hear his show. Thank you.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up. See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
All those smiling, happy faces, laughing, enjoying life. Then I turn the TV off, and I'm back to reality. The faces here are not so happy after the spill. I mean, just look around. The fourth-generation shop owner who'd give anything to turn on his dusty open sign. The fisherman with the 1,000-mile stare. People of the Gulf region have been through a lot, and we're pretty good at bouncing back, but we can all use some help from time to time. If you're experiencing increased anxiety, worry, or anger, you should know that the assistance you may need to help you cope is here. For confidential counseling, call 800-985-5990. 800-985-5990. Or text TALK WITH US to 66746. With help, you won't need a TV to see a smiling face, only a mirror. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council. Message and data rates may apply.
I've had trouble with Angel trying to finish high school. He's always struggled through even elementary. It would be frustrating because sometimes I would talk to him and he wouldn't even turn around and look at me. I would ask him, so you're going to school today, right? He would say, yeah. And then later during the day, I would get a phone call saying he wasn't in class. He dropped off for a whole month. There's a time that I just gave up. I just decided, you know what, I don't know what to do with you. I mean, I pretty much have done everything to try to get you back to school. You know, you feel that maybe you're not a good parent, or maybe you don't know how to fix the problem. I really didn't have many people to look to but myself. Now I think that it's gotten a lot better. Now I at least have hope that he'll finish high school. I can't give up. He's still my son. You know, I can't give up.
Give your teen the boost they need to graduate. Call 1-877-4A-KID or join us at boostup.org for tips and advice. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
we're back. This is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show. And a guy that walks on sunshine all the time is Dave Adams. Dave Adams is the founder of USA Heartbeat Radio and Street Level America. Dave, how you doing? Let's see. We got the volume up. There we go. There we go. I'd missed a button there. Dave, how you doing? Where you at?
Well, right now I'm just driving away from Hickson, Tennessee. But earlier today we were at one of those merchant stands. It's on Hickson, Tennessee, Highway 153, right in front of Planet Fitness. Had a chance to talk to a gentleman who is selling MAGA America merch. You know, the Fight America Fight T-shirts, the MAGA hats, and so on and so forth. He's gone all over America, and in fact, he's gone to some rally, and he's actually sold merchandise about 30 feet away from Donald Trump, and he's had some interesting comments.
So you got to bump the guy that's basically traveling the country.
Yeah. They're based here in Chattanooga right now, and for the next couple of days, he's going to be selling merch in front of Planet Fitness, Highway 153. About 80% of the people that drive by are supportive of the Trump MAGA movement. And it's great. As we were talking to him and standing there, you could see people drive by and honk, and they put their fists in the air and they shake just like Donald Trump did as he emerged from the Grand Africa's earshot.
Oh yeah, I tell you, we hadn't had a chance to talk on the radio in a while, Dave. Any updates on how the USA Heartbeat's doing in Street Level America?
Well, yeah, there's a number of projects underway right now, but if we could talk about the merch thing.
Oh, sure.
He's going to be there. He's going to be there for a couple more days. He's going to take some time off tomorrow night, of course, to watch the debate. But he's got quite a selection of shirts, T-shirts, fight shirts, MAGA shirts, Trump Vance. Interesting comment he had from some homosexuals, some lesbians that stopped at one of his merchant stands, not this one here today, but one in the past, and they were homosexuals. And they asked him if he had any lesbians for Trump T-shirts. And he said, well, no, not really. Why? And they said, well, you know, we're of that volition, and we want to support Donald Trump because, and this is an interesting comment, what they had to say. It's beyond politics. It's simply a matter of common sense and, more importantly, a matter of economics. If I want to take my partner to dinner, I simply can't because I cannot afford to. So we support Donald Trump, not because of his personality, not because of his politics, not because of, you know, he may be against homosexuality, but because with him in the White House, I could take my partner to dinner and afford to do so. Now I can't. I support Trump. Do you have a lesbians for Trump T-shirt? And I thought that was an interesting comment.
And so did he tell you how many states he's been in?
Oh, he listed off a number of them. He's been from Maine to, I don't know if he's been out west, but he's definitely been in some states here on the eastern side of America. And it was interesting, he sold merchandise for other candidates. Obama, I hear the boos already. Obama and other candidates in the past. But he said as he really sees what's going on in America and talks to the people, he's really bought into the Trump, the MAGA movement. And he had some comments about Donald Trump that I think were very interesting. He said, and this is his view, and I'm not going to use his name, but he's in marketing and was making good money. And a friend convinced him to go into this merchandise. We're selling T-shirts, you know, by the side of the street. And he said that Trump, in his view, got into it as a kind of a publicity stunt way back when he first came down the escalator. This is his view. But he said as he's watched Trump and listened to his press conferences and listened to his speeches and been there when he's talking to people, and he said he could hear a change in Trump's tone, that Trump, in his view, has really bought into the plight of America, has really, in his words, fallen in love with America, and really come to understand the plight of America's people and is all in for this MAGA movement. It's not for, he said in the beginning he thought he wanted to be the best president ever, but now he's fallen in love with America and really wants to save America, as do many people in the MAGA movement. So some of his comments are very, very interesting.
So he used to, it sounds like he's an independent. If he used to, did he say supported Obama or just sold merch for Obama?
Sold merch for Obama. He was, he's in marketing. He's in it for the buck. He's in it to make some money. And he had fun doing it. But as he's seen what's going on, as somebody's trying to call, one of my MAGA friends is trying to call on the other line, I'll call him back. But he's really understood the plight of America. And it's become more than just making money, which is what it was in the past. Now he's bought into the movement, so to speak, invested in his heart and soul, and really all in.
Well, have you heard the Nate Silver's latest projection that Trump wins every battleground state based on the new polling that just came out that has Trump ahead of Karras in the New York Times and the Siena College poll?
I saw that briefly. I haven't had a chance to dig into it.
So I'm just curious, people like this gentleman that probably doesn't sound like he has a particular side, but did you hear Alan Dershowitz Sunday said he's left the Democratic Party?
I heard that. I saw him speaking, and it's coming to the point where the light is starting to dawn, and I hate to use the word these people, but these people are realizing, hey, we're being sold a bill of goods, and it's becoming more than politics. It's literally saving America and saving the American economy and the way of life. And it's become more than just a political statement. It's become, hey, we got to do this.
Do you think Kennedy had a part in some of these other Democrats finally coming out of the shadows? They may have voted for Trump privately, but, finally Tulsi came out and went public. Of course, I think that was a no-brainer. But when Kennedy came out and Shanahan, I'm just curious. And then that country singer that came out Saturday, I think Kate Williams, is that her name? She was at a Trump rally, and she's voted liberal and Democrat all of her life. But she said, as a mother, in the economy, she's voting Trump now.
I think Kennedy coming out was just, when you have a dam and you have a little pinhole in the dam, and as more water starts to gush through, somebody has to go over the wire first, right? And as the hole comes in the dam and as the water starts to flow through, somebody breaks the ground and then the floodgates start. And I think you're starting to see that. People are realizing when they go to the grocery store every day, they can hear Kamala Harris talking about her platitudes and I'm going to do this and that and the other thing, and it finally puts some kind of talking points on our website. But then they go to the grocery store and reality sits in. And that is the cold, hard truth. America's economy is going downhill. A lot of what Donald Trump is saying is true. We've elected a bunch of idiots in the White House, and we got to fire them.
Well, what's your thoughts on some of these folks, Vivek? And there was a guy on a podcast I watched early this morning. He still thinks that they won't allow Trump to be president. He said that Trump's running against the shadow government, the neocons, whatever you want to call the group behind the scenes. Have you heard any talk such as that?
No, I haven't. But I am. When I talk to people on the street, they're pretty supportive of Donald Trump. And if they try to do something stupid like try to throw him in jail or try to do something overtly to physically try to stop him from running for election or getting the office of the White House, the natives are going to revolt.
Well, the merchant, he's moved the sentencing back once again to November 26th because I think he realized if he tried to put Trump in jail on the 18th, because the New York police was threatening a blue flu, that they weren't going to arrest him and they would not carry that order out. So that's interesting that so many people in this country, I think, are finding ways to push back. With the election coming up, do you have a prediction, or do you have any thoughts on the election? Do you think it'll be a red wave, Dave?
It's unsettling to see that half of America is buying into I'll just say it, the lie of Kamala Harris. That there's an old saying, the purest form of insanity is to keep doing the same thing expecting different results. This woman has been in the White House, close to ground zero of helping formulate policy for America, and America right now is a train wreck. And now she wants to have a brand new start, a fresh new start. Are you kidding? You've already been in there 1,000 days. This is not a fresh new start. This is a continuation of the failed policies that have got this, that have started to sink this Titanic of America. But as I see these polls and see that half of America, and from when you drill down and start talking to these people, it's not that they're supporting Donald Trump. It's not that they're supporting Kamala Harris. It's that they hate Donald Trump. And they got to get over that.
But don't you think they've been primed to hate him? The media, I'll use Caitlin Clark as an example. I believe Cheryl Swoops and some of the folks that lean to that far left agenda and lifestyle, I think they were calling out her and harassing them to the league. Don't accept her. When they did those early statements before she even played her first WNBA game, and then she shattered record after record, and it's like, and then they didn't put on the Olympic team, and now she's leading the league in so many categories. I think the media has lost its grip to mold. It doesn't, because I think Elon taking over Twitter and calling it X now, they just banned Rumble in Venezuela. You may have heard, along with X. They arrested Telegram guy. I think the media is panicking that ham and eggers like me. I've only been doing this a little over 3 years, but you've been in journalism now over 20 years, Dave. Have you seen anything like this?
No, I haven't. I've been doing this since 1978, and I've always watched politics from the outside. I've always reported, as an unbiased observer, which is what media is supposed to. But there comes a point where you've got to say, this boat is sinking, and we have to plug the holes and start bailing water. An analogy that I use to people when I explain that I'm now more of a proponent of a side, if you will, rather than just reporting the facts, is Ed Bradley was filming a segment for 60 Minutes of the boat people, and he was just there with this camera crew, and they were watching the boat people just coming into Florida, just floundering and drowning and trying to get to shore. And he was just there as an unbiased observer, and he just couldn't take it anymore. He put the camera down, waded into the water, and helped some of those people come ashore. My point is, there comes a point when you see dire situation that you have to get involved. I want to share another story. There was a guy, I'm not going to use his name, he was a Marine, served in Afghanistan. There was an embedded reporter for, I believe it was the Associated Press or one of the networks. And his buddy, the Marine's buddy, had taken a shot and was bleeding to death. The Marine told the camera guy, I want you to hold this tourniquet and hold this on the wound. And the reporter, the photog, said, I'm not going to do that. I'm supposed to be an unbiased observer. I'm just supposed to record what's going on. The Marine pointed the gun at the reporter and said, you put that Band-Aid on there and you hold it with your hand or you're going to be bleeding right next to him. He got a little bit in trouble for it, but my point is this. There comes a point when some guy is bleeding out in front of you, and you've got to get involved. You can't just be an unbiased observer. You've got to get in the play.
Well, I was listening to Tucker Carlson and a podcast. One of his guests said, and I was, again this weekend, he said over 40 million Christians did not vote in the last presidential election. Does that shock you that 40 million Christians chose not to exercise their constitutional right to vote?
In a way, it does bother. It bothers me, but the reason why is they've been preached this dogma of separation of church and state, where you go to church and you do your church thing on Sunday, and then you pray to God and you tick off that box, and then you put your Bible on the shelf and you go out into the real world, do your thing for 6 days, come back and check in with God on Sunday, then put your Bible back on the shelf and go out and do the thing. This fragmenting, this siloing of our faith, where we do Christian things on Sunday and then we go do something else. And then this separation of society from church, look where that's got us. That's got us to where there's 65 genders, men have babies, and we have male martial artists, cage fighters, going in and literally killing female opponents in cage fights because they've identified as a female. That's not only wrong, that's dangerously insane. Criminally, it's just wrong. We got to stop that.
Well, I think, again, I think that's why Caitlin Clark's so popular. It's like the perfect storm. People are outraged of men in female sports, and therefore I think that's what's made, she's now she's got the highest selling jersey of any athlete now on the planet. And I think it's because she's not a blatant person, but she's straight. She just wants to play ball. You know, she stands for things that America kind of stands for. But let me ask, can you give us a quick update on your 40-day of prayer plan that you've got between now and the election?
Yeah, we do. So that brings up a point I wanted to get to as well. As Christians need to get engaged. You know, what we learn on Sunday morning, we have got to apply the rest of the week. And we have to take the Bible. We can't smorgasbord it. We've got to take the whole Bible and apply it to our lives if we want to truly be believers. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people called by my name shall humble themselves and to pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will heal their land. We were reaching out to a former pastor in Gainesville, Georgia. And he has this vision of 40 days. And 40 days is significant in biblical history as far as when things happened. There was a 40-day time when prayer was sought, when God was sought. There was a 40-day time frame, and that's significant in the Bible. So he selected 40 days ahead of the election this November, which is going to be the 27th of this month, Friday. We're going to do a live streamcast from Gainesville, Georgia. And we're going to invite people to call in and log in our streamcast. We'll do it on multiple platforms. And we're going to be praying for America. We're going to ask churches and Christians to engage in prayer on a daily basis. We're not going to have a streamcast daily, but we are going to launch it with this live stream. And then we're going to be putting products, podcasts and video updates on prayer. And we need to pray as Christians and as the church specifically for the 40 days ahead of the election. But why wait till then? Start now. And then when the election happens and hopefully Trump's elected, we need to continue to pray for America. The church needs to really get on its knees and engage in prayer. And you're a man of prayer. I know you are. I've seen your office. The church needs to get back to some basics. And prayer is one of them.
Well, there's a lot of folks out there that I think believe in prayer. Some pray more than others. But I just lovingly try to tell folks, if you do prayer walks, if you do prayer journaling, whatever works for you, just right now, there's not a better time now than to do it. And we've got to get away from being a political party right now. I know I got a lot of GOP friends, and they get mad when I say this, but I don't consider myself Republican or Democrat. I'm an American. First, I'm a Christian, but then I'm an American, and I want to pray for America. And this may shock you. Hey, if a Democratic candidate could unite this country under God and country, I could vote for that if I thought the platform and the candidate was genuine. I don't see their platform at the moment. But Donald Trump, what he brings to me, he's a former Democrat who's become a Republican, much like Reagan. I believe what Donald Trump brings to the table, because I'm not voting for a pastor, and I'm not voting for a bestie. He's got faults, but I'm voting for the best person that we have available to try to unite the country and bring back, don't forget, he brought back Merry Christmas. Obama had us almost afraid to say freaking Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he the other thing I think a lot of folks forget, Dave, is this next president will appoint 11 new federal judges in 2018 in 2025, and then in 2027, 11 more. 22 new federal posts are going to be made because the average federal judge right now has 550 cases in front of them. So they're expanding the court across the country, and but for some reason, no one's really mentioning that. And then between now and 2030, there'll actually be 63 new judgeships that they have voted on. Now, what the Democrats want to do is take some of those new judgeships and weave them over to the Supreme Court. But they're not telling all the facts. That's why I think some folks get confused. But with that said, don't you agree the next president has to, the other thing, it's not just the economy, the border and stuff, federal judges, because judges, those are lifetime appointments, and they affect the laws which affect our lifestyles for decades to come.
Yes, they do. And I like what your point you make about folks. And one of the things the Democrats are trying to do is they're trying to make this an election of personalities. Oh, Donald Trump's so he's such a braggart. He's such a boastful person. He's so arrogant. Don't you just hate Donald Trump? That's a message they're trying to put out there. What we need to look at is the policies. And we're not voting for a pastor. We're not voting for a bestie, as you said. We're voting for somebody who has, this is what I want to do as president. I want to drill, baby, drill. I want to have Americans burning American gas. I want us to have this, from a security standpoint and an economic standpoint, we need to provide our own energy. America's economy runs on oil. Sorry if that offends you, but that's just the case. So Donald Trump says, these are the things I'm going to do. X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not hearing that from the other side. We really don't know what her positions are because she changes so often. So we should not look at this as an election of personalities. It's an election of policies. What are you going to do? I agree with you. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, or a zebra with purple stripes. I don't care what you are. I just want you to make good decisions about America.
And just get involved. I've been playing some clips, but I've played one twice today about a married couple. They're an African-American couple. They both voted for Obama, but in 2016 he voted for Trump, and and again in 2024. His wife, on the other hand, voted opposite. She voted for Hillary, and she voted for Biden, but she's voting for Trump in 2024. And she's very left-leaning, and of course he's smiling, but she said the bottom line, it's the family. It's the pocketbook, of course, but they fear for their family. And I think at the end of the day, I think there'll be a lot. Now, there'll be folks, they call it holding their nose voting, but I think Trump's going to, I personally still think, if it's a fair election, Dave, that it will be a landslide for the Republican Party, primarily because they're the family party right now. They're the only party that seems to care about the family unit as we would as Christians. The Democrat Party, not Democrats themselves, there's some good Democrats out there. I've had a few on my show, but the Democratic Party and their platform, it really concerns me and the future. But hey, before we go, we got a break coming up here in 1 minute. You got a final word?
No, just get involved in 40 days of prayer. Prayer right now, and start on the 27th this month up until election. Pray every day. Pray at the stoplight. Pray to break at work. However you pray, just get in the habit of praying. We need to do that. It's healthy for us as Christian. It gets us closer to God. It's foundational to our walk with God to make a deeper walk. Pray. Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill. I say, pray, baby, pray. and really get to know the Lord.
I like that. Pray, baby, pray. Hey, Dave, thanks for calling in.
One quick thing. I know you come up against the break. I'm not going to mention a person's name, but a person came up to me who was not a Christian and said, Dave, I found out what I'm missing in my life. And I said, what's that? He said, God. And he's starting to go to church. And this person had some serious things happen in his life. He had a wake-up call, and he came to me and said, it's about God. That's what I'm missing. And praise God. If you're missing something in your life, you want to hang on to something that doesn't change with every political cycle, try God.
Amen. Well, thanks, Dave, and we'll push throughout what's left of the show. In Hickson, right in front of Planet Fitness, there's a merch salesman if you want to buy patriotic apparel.
Correct.
Thanks, my friend.
Thank you. God bless.
That's Dave Adams. He's the founder of Street Level America and USA Heartbeat, which has my show now in 37 states, Mexico, and Canada. Dave has been in broadcasting since '78. He's got a lot of experience, and he's also a pastor. It's rare to find a pastor involved in broadcasting, but there's two of us, me and Dave. We'll be back.
Hello, my name's Dave. I'm a Vietnam veteran and live in North Georgia, not far from East Ridge, Tennessee. I like listening to Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan. He keeps up with fast-moving news, which keeps me on the cutting edge of information that we all need to know. I like the music and stories he has. I like that he helps the homeless folk, and we could all help with that. I love God, and America is my country. Thank you for all that you do. Goodbye.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Hi, I'm Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead, and we've traveled all over the world, from Amsterdam to the Great Pyramids of Egypt. But I can't think of anywhere more full of beauty, life, and music than our own national forest. I love the forest. But you know, all its beauty can be taken away from us through one careless act. A campfire unattended, a cigarette butt thrown out a car window, or a trash fire left alone. You see, one little fire can quickly become one big fire, a forest fire. And before you know it, the trees stop swaying, the flowers stop blooming, and the birds stop singing. So please, be careful in the forest. It belongs to all of us, and remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
A public service of this station, the Forest Service, USDA, your state foresters, the Ad Council,
and the Grateful Dead.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Want to fight childhood asthma? Then fight it with a scrub brush and a hot soapy towel. Even in the neatest and tidiest homes, if there's so much as a crumb to eat or a drop to drink, household pests like bugs and mice will do all that they can to get it. Creepy crawlies like bugs and mice are unpleasant enough as it is, but they're more than just a nuisance for kids with asthma because they can actually trigger an asthma attack. So give them a whole lot of nothing. Sweep up crumbs, wipe down tables, scrub dishes before they pile up in the sink, and store leftovers in plastic bags or bowls. Don't leave them so much as one tidbit or nibble, and you can stop a childhood asthma attack before it starts. Discover other simple ways to prevent an asthma attack. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS or visit noattacks.org, because no child should feel like a fish out of water. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. EPA, the Ad Council, and this station.
Well, I'm back, my friends. This is Macil Duncan live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we just recently had the founder of Street Level America, Dave Adams, on the line and reminding us that there is a merchant selling merch, if you will, out in front of Planet Fitness out in Hickson. He's got all kind of T-shirts and stuff. He's got the famous Fight, 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 Trump Fist in the Air shirt, if you like that patriotic type of paraphernalia. He's also sold stuff for Obama. He's supported both sides. He's sounds like an independent, if you will, but he knows, I guess, to sell what will sell. And right now, Trump stuff sells. I don't recall ever driving and seeing a Biden store or a Kamala store. But as I drive all through America, I see Trump stores everywhere. They're literally labeled Trump stores. Go up to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway, I found the clip I was talking about with Dave. The Senate voted to expand the federal courts. This is not being talked about enough. Listen to what the next president will be able to do. It's a lot of change that they could put. That's why I think the Democrats are freaking out. This ability right here would give Trump to put a legacy on conservative views for some decades to come. Check this out.
Whoever wins the presidential election could have 22 new federal judge positions to fill, in addition to the vacant seats that arise due to resignations, retirements, and promotions. Congress is working to create 63 new permanent district judgeships, the first new seats since 2003. The Judges Act of 2024 passed the Senate unanimously. It now heads to the House. If the bill is signed into law, the next president will be able to appoint 11 of the judges in 2025 and 11 more in 2027. Those 22 new seats span the country. There are 6 in California, 4 in Texas, and 3 in Florida.
Now let me stop there and tell you, number one, it was unanimous by the Senate. When's the last time the Democrats and the Republicans said, ooh, we agree? I don't know if that should scare you or what, but 6 new federal judges in California. Do you want Kamala Harris appointing 6 new judges in California because people say as go California goes the country? It used to be New York and California would set fashion trends and it would blend to the middle of the country. I remember as a youth pastor, when outfits or styles would change, in Texas they talked about how it would take 2 years, sometimes 3, for fashion trends to come to the middle of the country. Well, now it happens in a matter of weeks because of internet and the availability. But 6 judges in California, 4 in Texas, and 3 in Florida. You want Donald Trump picking those judges, I'm telling you, my friend. 1, because 6 federal judges in California that would be conservative would be huge. But you don't want Kamala putting 4 in Texas and 3 in Florida. It can make a huge difference in the decades to come. Now, here's the rest of it. Listen to all the judgeships that the next president will select.
While the rest are dispersed in smaller states. Not only would the bill create the first new seats since 2003, it would be the first significant expansion since 1990.
Our federal courts are in a genuine crisis of workload, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman. Not since 1990 have we added any significant amount of new federal judges. And since then, our nation has added 100 million people. Federal filings have increased 40%, and the weighted case average across our nation is 550 cases per judge.
The people of this country are entitled to justice, and justice is a speedy process. And when that's slowed down, it's not really justice.
Grassley was initially concerned the bill created too many new positions, so the authors spread out the appointments, adding 10 or 11 new seats every odd-numbered year from 2025 to 2035.
Now, the Democrats drove this, and this took a while to get through the Senate. So, I believe they thought Joe Biden was going to be a 2-term president, like Obama was and Clinton was, etc. They did not expect Joe Biden to, right before our very eyes, become the collapsed mental project he's become. As I shared with you earlier, he has set a record. He has now taken so much vacation time, he's literally been on vacation more than he's been on the job. The recent data that just came out, he has the equivalent of vacation for 48 years in 4 years. That's how much Joe Biden has been off the clock in the beaches and around places. Who knows, getting shots or what treatments, we don't know. But he's not been at the White House. It makes you wonder. Plus, Kamala's using Air Force One right now. I don't know if you noticed that. So, interesting. So, for Chuck Grassley to pump the brakes tells me, back when this was going on, I think they were afraid maybe at the midterms, if Biden got in, they could get enough to come in and change it and flip it. Now, with that said, I've also told you this. Donald Trump, if he wins, which I think he can, he's got 2 years. He'll be a lame duck his last 2 years because the Democrats will find a way to get the House or the Senate. What I mean by that, I think in 2024, there's a good chance you'll have a Republican-led Senate and House and presidency. But just go back and look. Obama, Clinton, Bush, even when he had the 2 terms, they all lost midterm. I don't know if it's a deal they make or what, but none of them ever carry a 4-year dominance. Now, if Trump could carry 4 years of red House, Senate, and I mean, man, gosh, can you imagine as Trump walked away after 4 years what we would have? But with that said, we need to pray because Donald Trump, his confirmation, these first judges would go through because he'll probably have a red Senate. But there's a good chance the next, because Grassley, and I see why he did it, but because Grassley did that, his next appointments possibly could be hindered by, if the Democrats take control of the Senate, his second 2 years. You with me? So it's important, one, that you've got to vote. Christian, get off your butt and vote. Secondly, make sure you know the issues. Okay? These federal judgeships are very, very important. Yes, the economy. Yes, I believe the border. Those are very important. And I know some of you on both sides of the issue of children in the womb. But I'm telling you, these judgeships will impact us for decades to come. Pay attention. I replay this every so often just to put a bug in your ears. There's hopefully 1 or 2 people that listen and tells 1 or 2 people that tells 1 or 2 people, and it just might ignite some people to say, hey, we better take this election seriously. So how are we doing on time? Okay, we got a couple of stuff. I'm going to skip that one and go to this one. I don't know if you see this, but I'm going to go back to this. Stephen A. Smith, who is a sports commentator, for the first time ever, he's gotten political. Okay? This is what's happening. The country's gotten so desperate, people are feeling the need to speak out, and this is Stephen A. Smith calling Kamala Harris a flip-flopper?
We're blaming you for flip-flopping on fracking. Is it true, are you? Healthcare. Has your position flip-flopped on that? Or is it the same? They're talking about, you got surrogates out there talking about, now you willing to support building a wall after you spoke against it. Is that true? Is it?
Boom! Drop the mic.
Is that true? Is it? These are legitimate questions, is all I'm saying. I'm not castigating her. I'm not casting convictions upon her or anything like that. I'm saying we want to hear from her because we've been waiting to hear from you for 4 years. We want to see where you stand and why.
You're right.
Where you stand and why.
I think maybe it's just like a mistake, right?
So a lot of people, when they hear someone like a Stephen A. Smith say that, you're going, wow, a guy he's putting his reputation out there, but he feels the situation is so desperate, he has to speak up. And I think it's a rather amazing thing that some people are feeling the need to step out of their comfort zone and say, I think I need to say something. Now, speaking of that, here is a mama bear, a lady of color. She is very upset. She is a Democrat who's basically calling out the Democrats, and this is what's happening all over the country. Let's see.
Let me tell you something. You get them signs down. And that organization, which is a white liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man. Yes. And he's coming up in here.
The white liberal is the worst enemy black people have. I'm going to replay that. The white liberal is the worst enemy. Check this out.
Liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man. Yes. And liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man. Yes.
The white liberal is the worst enemy black people have. That was Malcolm X. Now, she's not done. She is not done. I clap and give a pastor salute. This lady goes to one of her commissioner meetings, which you should if they get out of line. And if you can see, they pan, and they are completely shell-shocked. These Democrats are getting it from a Democrat, and I don't think they're used to this.
Coming up in here, acting like y'all representing some social justice.
Say that,
but all along, all you're doing is trying to use black people to find a reason to make some money. Let me tell y'all something over there. We're done. The Democratic Party is done. You ain't gonna listen to us like
Y'all gonna abuse us. They get to abuse the black American.
Come in here and go clean it up. I'm telling you, you leave the Democratic Party. Do just like RFK Jr. Just do like that Tulsa lady. You better get up out the Democratic Party. Save yourself. Save your families. Save your dignity. Save your jobs. And save your seat. Because if y'all don't, we coming for your seats. We ain't taking this no more.
We're coming for your seats. We ain't taking this no more. But did you hear what she said, what I was talking with Dave Adams about in the last segment? She said R.F. Kennedy Jr. I believe R.F. Kennedy Jr. is giving boldness to other Democrats to say it's okay to not just walk away, but to speak up. She is blasting a Democrat full of folks, and let me tell you, you could tell she's heated about it. And she's saying, and the guy, I don't know if you hear a gentleman next to her saying, that's right, that's right. So I believe this election's going to be unique. And I shared with you earlier, if you didn't hear, but there is some new polling that has come out. One thing I thought was very interesting is there's a new poll. It says 59% of Americans thought Donald Trump did the right thing going to the cemetery and being a part of that honoring of the fallen soldiers, especially since he was there at the request of the family, and none of them, Biden and Harris, didn't show up, but then they tried to say something unpleasurable. So that was 59%. Well, the latest national New York Times Senior College poll has Trump leading and Harris figured for a radical. That's their words, not mine. That they're seeing that Harris is being seen as a radical by the electorate, if you will. So the other thing is, let's see. I'm going to go to Newsmax. And Newsmax has Nate Silver's latest projection: Trump wins every battleground state. You can go to Newsmax and read it for yourself, but Nate Silver's is a very long trusted pollster. Now, Rasmussen has said all along Trump has never been down. They don't know where they got their data. He felt they manipulated all this time, but now they can't hide her disparagements anymore. Kamala is heading downward, and it's very obvious, and many folks are seeing it. Alan Dershowitz quits the Democratic Party. I didn't play the clip because I just, for time's sake. But Dershowitz quits the Democratic Party. The main reason, he said Sunday, was anti-Semitism. He was very offended at the Democratic National Convention that people that were at the platform at the prime times were folks that are very anti-Semitic. Okay? Not that they really said anything anti-Semitic, but their reputation and other things that they stand for is very pro-Palestinian. And there was not really a pro-Jewish spokesman except for the governor of Pennsylvania, which is kind of Jewish light. He doesn't defend his nationality very well, I guess, if I understood what he was saying. So Alan Dershowitz is the most recent Democrat to walk away with the Kennedy, Shanahan, Elon Musk, and others. So it's very interesting. And One America News reports that President Biden has taken 48 years worth of vacations in just 4 years. Did you hear that? According to One America News, President Biden has taken 48 years worth of vacation in the 4 years he's been our president. So the 81-year-old Biden, the oldest U.S. president to ever hold office, has taken enough vacation days to match what a typical employee would accumulate over 48 years. That's unheard of. He's actually been on vacation more days than he was actually, if you want to call it, serving the people. So you've got to ask yourself, with him missing that much time, who is running the country? And I think we all have a big O imagination who that is. But anyway, Cheryl Atkinson marks the 11th anniversary of CBS exposing Obama's regime for spying. The DOJ continues to block trials that could expose top officials. And this is interesting. On Saturday, former CBS investigative reporter Cheryl Atkinson took to X, formerly Twitter, to mark the 11th anniversary of CBS' groundbreaking report revealing illegal surveillance conducted against her by the Obama government. Today is the 11th anniversary of CBS announcing the illegal spying on me and my computers. My lawsuit against the government is still active. I received a clerk's default against one ex-agent, but the DOJ has been able to fend off trial that would expose top names, Atkinson wrote. The lawsuit, which was dragged over a decade, highlights a dangerous abuse of power by government officials and a calculated effort by the Department of Justice to suppress evidence that could impact high-level officials. Is it not amazing? A case like this has been dragged out for 11 years, but then when they want to go after a Donald Trump, they can make it happen within days. Makes you wonder, who is pulling the trigger behind the scenes? That's why the Chevron ruling by the Supreme Court, which Donald Trump put 3 on there, was so important. It took away a big chunk of those hidden court systems and these other ways they used to do some of this shuck and jive and shell game, if you will. So Cheryl Atkinson, hopefully she'll have her day in court soon. But it's just an interesting thing. Pelosi suggests Trump might skip the presidential debate against Harris. I know cowardice when I see it, said Pelosi about Trump. The Trump campaign told Fox News Digital that Pelosi has no idea what she's talking about. It probably was some bad liquor. We don't know. But former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi suggested that Trump would somehow skip or not be at the debate. I think Nancy didn't get the memo that the sentencing for Trump has been postponed to November 26th. See, I personally believe they were trying to get Trump in jail so that they might have the advantage of calling him the felon, but that seems to have backfired. Big Lots files for bankruptcy citing inflation. The big store chain has said they're having to give it up. So as a part of Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing, Big Lots agreed to sell its business to a private equity firm, Nexus Capital Management, for about $760 million, according to court records. Big Lot runs now 1,300 stores across 48 states and made around $4.7 billion in revenue over that year ended in September 2023. It's kind of hard to imagine you can make $4.7 billion and still file for bankruptcy. But anyway, the rich don't play by rules you and I play by. Okay, it's rules for thee, not for me. So interesting enough. Well, we're getting ready to sign off here, and I know some of you said that new song that was sent to me. Some of you have sent me messages that you liked it. I don't know if you like it or not, but this is the one about Kamala. It's called Big Fat Liar. It's the song The Doors, Come On Baby Light My Fire. They kind of spoofed it. See what you think.
Kamala's a big fat liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. The time for cackling is through. Joe Biden's condition is dire. Now the party turns to you. It's time to claim what you desire. Kamala's a big fat liar. Kamala's a big fat liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Kamala's a big fat liar and her pants are on fire. So interesting. We're about to sign out of here. This is Macil Duncan, the Macil Duncan Radio Show. Hope you guys have had a good day. We'll be back tomorrow, and appreciate our special guest today, Dave Adams, the founder of Street Level America. And if you're listening to the show, go to the 5 o'clock or the third hour, and he kicks off the third hour segment. Don't forget my book, Move Your Mountains. We'd love for you to get a copy. Move Your Mountains. Learn the journey of faith. I'll see you tomorrow.
I put potatoes in a fryer. I hope they have a job for you. Come November when you are fired. Kamala's a big fat liar. Kamala's a big fat liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. You always say what is not true. You are a master falsifier. When somebody fact checks you, like a chameleon, you change your attire. Kamala's a big fat liar. Kamala's a big fat liar. Liar. Old Joe stepping out, giving up the fight. We saw it coming, clear as day. He couldn't keep up, had to walk away. On his last stand, couldn't hold the line, leaving us to clean up, picking up the signs. The country's in a mess and he's turning his back. Now it's time for us to take it back. From Scranton streets to the White House gates, he stumbled through, now he's closing the gates.